Hello YouTube, welcome. In this video, we will talk about the current situation of the game. We will talk about the latest global lab patch. We will talk about the current game, the last patch, the official patch. And also we will talk about the open world PvP and the hardcore servers, what we can do about them. I'm appreciated that PA is actually listening what we say. The latest PvE iframe thing, they fixed it thanks to them, and the other tiny changes, but it's good for utility in Node War and Sieges. They increase the rewards and some other things. Without further ado, let's get into it. And who are today's guests? Today we have Hygaa. He is the kinda owner of the podcast. We have Neri. Neri is new. You guys know Specs and Archive. Welcome, guys. Oh wait. Okay. Now they can hear you too. I want to start from Hygaa. Who is Hygaa? May you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello guys, I'm Hygaa. I am an Awakening Sage enjoyer myself, which is gonna be very common on this podcast because sages like to job apparently. Nah, but I try to run this podcast and organize all these people, and thanks to Quendai, we're able to do it. So yeah, thanks for everyone to being here, and I hope everyone enjoys.
Okay. What about Neri? Who is Neri?
Hello, my name is Neri. I recently, well, it's been a month, but I came back to the game from being in TNO, and I also administrate the Sage Discord, the 3.01, that's currently being updated with all of the other top EU/LA Sages, and I played the game in the closed alliance on EU in the Guild Code days. And I'm a Sage, Awakening Sage / Succession Sage player myself, so it's also quite a bit, plus it's quite a bit OP.
Okay. What about Specs? People know you, but please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Specs. I've been here for like 2 podcasts already. I shot call on EU and on an uncapped alliance, mostly uncapped at least. My main PvP content that I do is Node Wars and G League with Deadeye. And yeah, I play Corsair and Deadeye for the most part.
Okay, Archive.
I'll keep it short. I'm a veteran Awakening Sage player. You're not going to catch me playing anything else. I post class guides and grinding videos to showcase for the class. Yeah, I've been playing the game constantly for a few years now.
Thank you. So now I'll just show the latest global lab patch on screen. Let's control what they just bring to us. They've just announced the Ilezra, the final boss, the final Gladio, the 5th dungeon or the latest dungeon. I want to ask this one. How did you find it? Do you guys like these type of contents? And also, is this solo, by the way? Hygaa, let's start from you.
I think it is. How do I enjoy this content? So lately I've been doing a lot of dungeons with some friends. For me, the fun nature of this was that you were kind of sort of the same mentality as Land of the Morning Light bosses. Obviously, it was the original version of it, right? You gather with some friends, you do your runs, you get a reward, which be actually worse or better. And yeah, it is within the Black Desert lore. It is cool. The new one I do enjoy. Norsekia is good. And now when they announced these Ilesra, I'm kind of, I think I want it to be also party content. We do believe, I think that it's solo content, although it's not very clear, but I do expect it to be solo content. I think putting closure to these, yeah, I'm trying to fix it, but you tell me if it's too bad. I'll just cut it. Wait. Okay. My bad. Hold up. We can.
There's a problem on his webcam. He's trying to fix it.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix.
Yeah, you can try to fix it.
Is it better now? Okay.
No, it's kind of same.
Fix it. Okay. Hold up.
Let's ask this too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't check the global labs that much, but I do think that more party content in this game is really needed because it's an MMO in the end. And I came from TNL, which most of the content was party, right? That was the one thing that TNL kind of did better, is that you had a community, you did stuff with your community a lot. While at BDO, most of the grind spots are solo content. Let's say, all of the last dungeon is really fun, even though it's kind of annoying. The mechanics are kind of annoying. It's fun. But the 3 other dungeons, I know they changed it that you kill the first boss, instantly TP to the next room. But in my opinion, that's kind of a bad change. They should have just made the dungeon more rewarding instead of basically adding content. The content is old, but they could have just added more rewards and people would be inclined to doing that content again. It's not about, cutting out a part of content that you already had, because you're basically removing some stuff from the game. And if Ilezra is solo, In my opinion, that's just bad design. Like, the dungeons are supposed to be party content. You're supposed to play it with friends. They're supposed to be challenging. You're supposed to have semi-good gear for it. And removing the party time just makes it so somebody will do it once for the new boxes / hammers, they'll do the story. And if they realize that the money is not as worth it as, let's say, grinding an hour or going on for an hour, or maybe pick cave is open, they just won't do it. So that content will jump in and it's gonna be dead after like a week if people do it for the first rewards, right? So that's just, in my opinion, like, it just looks bad.
What about specs?
Well, I also agree with Neri. There's a lack of party content, and interaction is a good thing to have in the game. But I honestly do think though that I don't know, the BDO community is a bit reward focused, right? Where you want to, or like if you want to attract them, you need to give them good rewards, right? Silver, or for example, how they manage in this labs some hammers, which is only once, but yeah, some hammers. I feel like, for example, for this edition, which is the final edition, people are going to do it. And outside of events and this first clear reward, I don't think people will touch it again. And I mean, if that is intended game design, then so be it. But I disagree.
Okay, Archive?
I agree. Like, I don't really agree with the change they did with the first 3 dungeons. They decide, like, to increase the money over time, quote unquote. They decided to just cut the time instead of increasing the rewards, which, I don't know, it just takes out even a whole deal of immersion from the dungeons, while like the rewards are still not that great.
Yeah.
Then the new dungeon, like, I'm fine if they allow it to be done solo, but having the option to also do it in a party, I think should be needed. We need party content, and dungeons so far were what gave us party content in a way, and not having it for the last one, for the most important one, in a sense, it's going to be a bummer. And yeah, if the good reward is only a one-time clear, and depending on what the rest of the rewards are going to be, it's probably going to take a good amount of replayability out of what should be like core content of the game, not just running in circles.
Yeah, I agree with what all you guys said. Maybe like instead of giving pure silver, when we just complete the dungeon, easy mode, LVM mode, hard mode, I don't care. You get some tokens, you get some seals. Maybe they can change the seal rewards. They can update it. They're completely outdated. They're bad, if you ask me, very bad. But with these things, you can get some unique things like infinitely. For example, if you complete the dungeon, like all 4 dungeons and the solo version of Ilezra for 5 weeks or 4 weeks every month, you get something special that you cannot get with anything. Anything like maybe a hammer. I don't know. Maybe how much is how much is the worth of hammer? 10 billion something? Maybe.
Well, it depends on the
the
item, but
yeah.
honestly, looking at how the progression changed for the past year, because I quit the game, basically stopped playing about like before Karazaz came out. So I still remember, like, sure, the accessory hammer was still in the marketplace and you could tap devils with it. And that kind of like imploded the gear value of everybody, because you don't need the Kron anymore. You're not afraid of it downgrading when you have hammers in the market. Honestly, a hammer nowadays is not that crazy of a thing if you play the game, if you grind it. I will say it, like, one hammer is just a tap. Like, looking at the RNG chance, or let's say a deck sovereign weapon, it's less than 1%, sometimes 1%. So you having one tap in, and the pity is, let's say, 330 taps, if I'm correct, one hammer doesn't make a deal. If you could get a guaranteed one tap in a week for doing that content, that would maybe incline people to do that sort of content.
Yep.
And like, rewards need to be updated over time. You cannot put in something in the game. It will work for this type of scenario for, let's say, a month or 2, but then you add a new grind spot that completely shuns those rewards. And that's why that content is dead. Like, you should look at old spots. I'm not saying make Dekia Olens free, because that doesn't make sense. What I'm saying is look at the old dungeons. Like, back then, Vahas were 342 million a pop, and they were not sitting on the market. Now they're like 100 or 200 mil. They're completely not worth it. So just look at the old, just bring back, let's say, the reward type to the amount of silver people gain for now. And I also do agree with, maybe add something in the rewards that you can only obtain through doing those dungeons. Like, maybe titles. People love titles. Like, it's not good that, let's say, Stormtrooper, Special Force Commander, and Ultimate Weapon have the crazy lightning effect, and they're only obtainable for PvP. Maybe add the lightning effect for people that do really high PvE content. Like that could also be a thing.
Agree. Like
Just
anything that draw people's attention deeply. I'm on it. Like I'm down for it.
I was gonna say on the same line as Nili mentioned, and I just want to throw it out there. Like my point was gonna go pretty much on the same direction from you guys. But what if by completing the entirety of all the dungeons plus the solo version, we get the node war buff for the whole week?
Oh, that's crazy.
If
That's
you do
nice.
the Elvia version, you do the 25 AP plus monster. There won't be Elvia version for
The last one, yeah.
for the last one, right? Because they said it, but maybe they could make it on the future. But if you do the full Elvia run, you get plus 25. If you do the normal version, you do 15 or 20. I don't know. Devs can decide. Thoughts?
Someone said in chat that it ain't happening and it kills node war completely. Honestly, on Europe right now, there's something called the PV Alliance, and they do node war specifically for that buff. But because they do that, they lock down nodes and you can't PvP on them because they usually don't PvP against each other. So it's 11 guilds pressing down a stick and nothing happens because they all just get a buff. So that is a big issue. And funnily enough, the system that they introduced last year that kind of killed the PvP community, funnily enough, that's still in the game, was to prevent that from happening. However, they added the node war buff, and that makes it that guilds that primarily do PvE content, for example, or Zekea, if you don't have that buff, that spot is not worth it to grind most of the time if you don't have high gear. They locked a spot that is 3.5 billion silver an hour, the best spot in the game, behind obtaining a node war buff. It doesn't make sense. It's a bad game design idea. So why not spread out the idea of achieving that buff? Why not, let's, what Hygaa said, add it to the dungeons, add it to, let's say, guild boss content. That was one of my ideas. What about if you do all of the guild bosses a week, except the Vel one, maybe even the Vel one, you get a stronger version of the buff. And you just fill out the checkboxes, you do the guild, because most of the guilds do them. So you do that and you have the guild, the node war buff for a week. And that means if you want to participate in PvP content, you can. They buffed node war rewards, they buffed siege rewards. Then that doesn't mean that the guilds that don't want to participate have to lock down nodes completely to get that buff to grind the best spot in the game. That makes more of a diversity. Because let's be honest, the guilds that want that buff don't interact with the PvP scene at all. They don't do it. We don't talk to them, they don't talk to us. They just decide, when node wars reset, they place their sticks down instantly on a node, and it's full. You can't place anymore. So we can't PvP them. They just alienate a node, and that's it. It's just bad. It's just bad for the community as a whole. We want to encourage people to PvP. Me as a PvP player myself, and most of us do PvP. We want to encourage you to do it. However, in the end, you play a game because of something you want to do in it. Some people like PvE, some people like PvP. There is no point of forcing somebody to PvP for a reward for their type of content. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I agree with that. There should be different ways to get that buff, because like you said, there are tons of people, they're just doing node war to get that buff, just for only that. You guys are saying that in EU PV guilds, they have some kind of group. Every time, every day, they just go there. Their main purpose is not to do PvP. Their main purpose, using the ways that game is allowing. They're changing the fort, they're doing some other things. Main purpose is not PvP. They're getting their 20 AP buff or 25 AP buff, and they leave. But if you just add that thing to dungeons, but it will be, of course, not guilds. Or if you add that thing to, I don't know how to explain, to party boss splits or anything. And also, on the other hand, this can decrease the node wars, population in their, track system, the data track system. They'll see that lots of people, maybe 60% of the participants from the node wars, it will decrease. They can add some other more rewards to PvP, but not something mandatory. When you do PvP, you will gain proper things. Or when you want to do PvP, you get immortal oils. Immortal oil is one of the biggest issue right now in the game. You can get immortal oils, proper amount of immortal oils. So whenever you do PvP, whenever you use elixirs, perfumes or something, you will not think that, hey, this will cost me a lot. When you try to become competitive in PvP, when you fight deeply hard or hard enemy when you push yourself. Like yesterday we did a node war, it was like 40 minutes or something. I spent 20 perfumes because I don't have immortal oils to do that. 20 perfumes, 600 million, 20 harmonies, 400. Like, I already spent 1 billion for only consumables, elixirs, and the perfume. And I cannot find perfume on the marketplace independent. Like, it's not free, it's not like infinite on the marketplace. 25k pre-order in server Mina sitting on the marketplace for perfume only. It's Mina server, like one of the smallest community in the BDO, in EU, in NA, maybe 100k orders sitting on like perfume. So we're gonna just provide it. So just to compensate that issue, they can maybe just add immortal oils to the node war and also add that, what was the name, the node war buff, make it some kind of different name, Black Spirit buff, Black Spirit happiness buff or something, add it to the different contents in the game. Just keep it in PvP too. If you want, let me get it from PvP. If I want, let me get it from the dungeons, anywhere, but let me choose it. Don't push me, don't force me. That's the one of the shittiest and the most toxic policy of PA. They're forcing you to do something, and I hate that.
I want to share this thought that I've come up with. We should do PvP because it's fun to do the game mode. The rewards are good and can be helpful in order to make people enjoy it more and make less of a burden of the consumption of these consumables, but avoid making the rewards necessary to do or open the doors to other content of the game. Just make the game mode fun, and then you can develop in that direction.
Honestly, the issue with them, because they buffed the node war rewards, they buffed it. But if you're fighting hard enemies and with immortals being basically gone from the market, that makes it that the buff is not that crazy because you spend 3 to 4 billion. If you're using sturdy well elixirs, you're spending on average 3 to 4 billion on node war to fight, which is, looking at the reward, it's really bad. And I do agree PvP should be costly, but if you win, you should potentially get that money back. And I think them adding immortal perfumes, that sort of stuff, into the node war quote-unquote said bag, that should be a thing, because it is right now the biggest grip on the PvP scene. You cannot, like, I use immortals for Guild League and Guild League only, but using them on node war, which node war is 1 hour right now, it's not that worth it because there's none on the market. Like EU, sometimes we have perfumes on the market. However, there are days where somebody will buy all of them, and then you have like 1,000 pre-orders, 2,000 pre-orders, 3,000. Sturdy elixir, like sturdy whales, are basically most of the time gone. And not only that, 100 is 4 billion. So you have to grind over an hour if you're running Orzekea to get that money back. And PvP players usually don't want to grind, so if that could alleviate the cost of doing PvP, because PvP is supposed to be a fun game mode, you're supposed to have fun. But if you think about it, for a lot of new players, if they realize they have to spend trillions of silver for gear for uncapped content, and then also have to spend billions of silver for elixirs, whales, buffs. Well, buffs aren't that expensive nowadays, like 300 mil for plus 15 AP for 3 hours. It's not that big of an issue. But the consumables are a big part of PvP. Then being gatekept, I agree that it's important that lifesteal players provide for the economy of PvP players, because it's an economy system. Like, the game should work that lifesteal players provide for the PvP players because we use them. That means lifesteal players gain silver for that. But the issue is that there's not that many lifesteal players. On EU, I think we have the biggest amount of lifesteal players, and that is not enough to sustain. Yeah, it's not enough, because we use sturdy whale potions. Like 100 on Old War is sometimes being a thing. Like, you chug them, you get CC'd, you chug one, you're half HP, you instantly use one. So them alleviating that cost in, let's say, perfumes would be a good part. And that also could maybe they boost the amount of elixirs produced by life skills, like they boost the amount that they can do, but lessen the cost a bit. So for them, they technically get the same amount of silver because they just sell more in bulk, but you can use more for basically the same amount of silver. So we, in the end, have more elixirs to use. So it's not that costly for us. Like, let's say a sturdy well potion, instead of being, 40 mil per pop, let's say it's 20 mil. But if you use the sturdy forest thread to make it, you get twice as much. that would make the economy bigger. That means PvP players can buy more of them in like for a cheaper price, and it just makes PvP less costly in the end. And life skillers technically earn the same. I don't want them to sit, because that is not the point. Because if something sits, let's look at primordial blackstones, stuff like that, stuff added.
That's one of
not
the biggest mistakes. Let's not
yeah,
repeat that,
not
please.
even a year ago. In the beginning, like I logged onto the game, I saw they were not sitting. Okay, that's cool. Like those bosses made sense. But now basically all the rewards from most of the bosses is sitting on the market. It's just bad. It's content that releases. It's cool for a month or like 2-3 weeks, and then it's dead. Like the silver. Let's look at Dark Seekers right now. Origins sit on the market. Devours sit on the market. If you do Pig Cave, the dim origin sits on the market. That's silver that's technically not worth nothing if you're not using them, because they will sit on the market. It's money that you cannot use, and that, for me personally, I am mad at it a lot, because if I am grinding an hour, I want that to be able to use that silver. If I need a stack, that's cool, but if it sits on the market, it's bad. And that's overall the problem with the marketplace as a whole in this game right now, that there's stuff that sits on the market that is worth nothing because that content is Darkseeker is one of the best spots. That's why Origins sit. But if you're not using them, it's dead silver. You get like basically 2 bill an hour without counting Devours in. It's dead content. Like it's just dead on the market. So they should look at that as well. Like that's a big issue. Balancing economy in MMO is really hard, because technically PvP players are needed to use consumables from the lifesteal players. It makes sense. You need the two economies to coexist. That's why a lot of people were happy a year ago that a lot of the PvP players that were quote unquote talking a lot, like saying a lot of toxic stuff, quit. But they don't realize that they need those players to use up their consumables, etc., to buy their dropped stuff. Both economies need each other to work. But right now, what we see is that lifesteal players are either not earning enough money in the beginning part of lifesteal. If you have full plus 10, I don't know what the new accessory is named, but if you're like full plus 10, that accessory, Priona, and like you have all the access, all the lifesteal gear, you can earn money. But in the beginning part of you going for lifesteal, you're earning basically nothing, which is bad. Sure, we can look at the grind part as well. If you have low gear, you're not grinding a lot as well. But on NA, my good friend Grimkill, who sat in season grinding cadres, is getting 719 gear score by purely grinding cadres and selling infinite potions.
I've seen that.
There is a way for people with low gear score to earn a boatload of silver by just being patient. Meanwhile, lifesteal players, they have to spend so much money for the accessories and they get nothing in the meantime, which is just bad. That's why there's not that many lifeskillers on NA and on MENA. All the other servers are basically that's dead content. Because why do that when you can get a 10 Blackstar for free, because you get it for free from season. You can get season gear, and you can either, like on NA, sit in cadres, or you can do other types of content. You can find the breakthroughs in grind spots. You can abuse that and gain a lot of silver. While lifesteal players basically have nothing.
Yeah.
That is just the economy side of BDO has always been bad. It has always not worked well.
It's always been a very unhealthy situation, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard to balance it, but there should be PA people that look at it and see what's going on. Like primordial crystals are worthless. You're tapping sovereign weapons. The percent is like you have 1%. You do it for the pity, and that's it. Like,
and the fun part, they try to rescue them by making them the entrance key for the the Pig Cave.
Yeah, the Pig Cave.
And nobody fucking
it was the lamest effort that they could have done to actually bring back the material to be kind of relevant. Like. I believe I've done those bosses, the new bosses on the Land of the Morning Land, once, 1 week at the beginning, whenever they released it. Never did them again. I still have those stones, and I'm like, I don't need. Like,
yeah, exactly. You have enough to last your lifetime.
I've just done them the first week they released. It's just
ecosystems need each other, and both ecosystems should earn you enough silver that you're happy from doing the content you're doing. You shouldn't. In the end, grinding should be the most amount of silver in the game. However, because it requires the most amount of gear technically. However, if you're reaching end game lifesteal gear, if you're full deck Priona, whatever the accessory's name is, if you spend that much money for that thing. And if you're self-enhancing them, because I know they don't sell, nobody sells like Piona, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You should be rewarded for that. You should be reaching amount of money close to the top grind spots. And the fun part is that should be updated constantly with new grind spots releasing. It shouldn't be that, let's say, Orzekia comes out, Succession Mystic is broken in it, and it's 3.5 bill an hour while lifeskillers sit there. I don't know exactly how much lifeskillers make, but I know it's not 3.5 bill an hour. By just they have to yeah, no, but if you think about it, if you're gathering etc., they have to first gather the materials, which is technically no money because they're gathering the material, and at the end they're bulk making it. And if another person is also doing it, like let's say human drop elixirs, if a guy does 20k bulk and then sells them, if there's another guy doing the 20k, they will just permanently undercut each other, and that will make the elixirs sit on low price, and that will just make you even less money. That's like one of also the issues.
So I want to point out, though, sorry to cut you there.
Go ahead.
And it's actually gonna be quite relevant even more now that you can just get all the, furniture buffs, all the materials combined. If it's like the beauty of all the life skills is that they are connected in such a way that you need kinda all of them in a full circle to actually make the best profit out of it, right? So by doing one thing and the other, technically you can make that much money with hunting.
Yeah, but the issue with that is, what if somebody just wants to cook? Because you can always just grind. Like, let's look at it that way. An MMO should be a freedom of choice to do whatever you want. And technically, like, okay, not going to kill grass beetles and getting billions of silver, that doesn't make sense.
And if those make
if you look at life skills, why not make it that one guy can just do cooking and gathering and earn silver? Why not? Because food buffs, you just do cron meals, and that's basically it. Like, I know, like, I'm not that well versed in the new content since I came back recently, and I just realized that there's a crazy worker empire in Land of the Morning Light, so I just set it up.
That it's
However,
so worth, I swear.
Yeah, I know, I realize that. However, like, a player should be able to choose what they're doing and make it meaningful in a way. Like, it would be cool that just, yeah, if a guy wants to just do hunting, he can sell that hunting material for a good price for somebody, let's say, that doesn't want to do hunting, but wants to sell the material that becomes obtainable through hunting materials. So they just buy it from the marketplace, they get less silver, but that means that the hunting guy also gets a piece of the profit, right? Like, it should be an economy that is being built by players overall. Because right now, the biggest influx of silver is grinding. And I understand the main thing of BDO is grinding. However, everybody should be able to do their sort of content a bit. Well, as I said, not grass beetles and 3 bill silver. Like, they should just do their own top/endgame content and be rewarded for that. Like, that also edges on Node Wars and Sieges as well, because, for example, I love PvP. Like, most of us here love PvP because for what it is. Like, I came to this game back in 2019, kind of like even before, but I was just looking at the game back then. I was a bit in the community, but back then, the amount of rivalries and guilds, like, the drama-fueled video, funnily enough, since it's a sandbox MMO, the only content you could make is create it yourself, and the biggest content in video back then was drama, on EU especially. Like, people hated each other in game, and that made their, let's say, that was like enemy/sovereign days. Those are like old EU guilds, like one of the biggest PvP scene it has ever been. Even back in like 2020, when one of those guilds died off, the scene was also alive, but there was a lot of drama that fueled people for hating each other and fighting each other, trying to be better. Right now, since the only reward you get for Node Wars is a bag that gives you, like, you get the Node War buff and you get silver, basically. I'm not surprised people don't want to strive for being better, because why should they? There is no reward for being a strong guild in PvP. You just get more money, you have a higher chance to win. There is no incentive to become better at the video game. AOS showed us that some people wanted to get better because you are in battle arena, you are there, you're standing there, there's your name, you get a cool reward, and also AOS now gives money. You get you get the costume, you get the title, right?
Yeah.
So it turns out that people want to strive better if they get rewarded, and that's always how MMO players work. It's in every single video game. People raid in World of Warcraft because they can get better gear. it makes sense. So why shouldn't PA reward PvP guilds for, let's say, maybe a ranking system? Something like that could incite some competitiveness, because it is needed. I'm not saying, like, it's easy for me to say because I am technically one of the strongest guilds on the EU, but that doesn't mean anything. You can make it in a way. For example, Guild League is a good thing. We have seen on the EU guilds that have been in the backlight, have been underdogs, that are climbing up, and it's a good thing to see because there are rewards for Guild League, and also it's party content. The big portion of why PvP is so popular is because you're doing it with friends. It's an MMO. It's not a single massive multiplayer, like single player game. That's not the idea of an MMO. You're building communities. The reason why I came back to BDO in the first place is because after I got done with TNL, all of my good friends were still back in BDO. So I was like, might as well go back. Might as well sit with them, talk with them, laugh with them. And that's the beautiful part about an MMO. It's about making memories with friends. And that's why PvP is so alive. Alive, let's say it's living.
Supposed to be alive.
Yeah, supposed to be alive. Like, just make a system that gives some competitiveness to PvP scene, to node wars, to sieges. Sure, you get 50% drop rate. Wow, crazy. You get castle. Wow, insane. But let's look at this. Let's also touch on open world, which doesn't exist, and which died sadly with one-sided declaration war being gone.
Yeah.
That system was faulty because you could bully guilds, and that was the biggest problem, right? If you were in a PvE guild that has like 13 members, and you have a good friend that's in a P guild that's 140, it's a 4-man alliance. All those guilds can deck your small ass guild, and you're gone. Like, they will hunt you. They will completely demolish you. And that was his reasoning to remove it. However, my idea for that is, if you place on tier 5 or even tier 3, tier 4 node war content, you are able to be declared upon. Because that would also remove the idea of sniping. If they also, let's say, give the node war buff to other guilds, like for other memes.
The Ps would be afraid to do that.
Exactly. Like, they can go tier 1 and tier 2. If you don't have gear, tier 1 is good for you. It makes you learn the PvP mechanics slowly. Like, you need to have stuff that like teaches you how to PvP. That makes sense. But you also should be inclined to learn yourself. That's like I'm a Sage player. Like, not Photon, I played this class since its release. Like, that's how I learned my class. I just sat in BA because I was interested of doing it. Yeah. And that's how that's the idea of PvP. You're supposed to do it from the beginning to learn how stuff works. So why not just make it that if a guild places on uncapped content, they are able to be declared upon? Because that gives the idea that, okay, they're doing the top tier PvP content. That means they want to PvP, so why not let them be able to be declared upon to do open world PvP? That would make it alive. I'm just saying that, because that removes sniping. It completely removes it. Because if you place on it, yeah, you're getting declared upon if they want content. Like, it is what it is.
Neri, did you follow the last Heidel Ball? Like a year and a half ago at this point?
No,
a year ago.
I don't follow Heidel and Calphion balls because I don't want to be disappointed. And before Quentin joined, I was talking about it with Hygaa.
Prepare to be disappointed. Like, a year ago at the Heidel Ball, they announced that they would reintroduce a new system in which the guilds would be able to categorize themselves as a type of guild, like PvP guild, PvE guild. And they also announced that they would introduce an MMR system for guilds to be matched against each other. This is probably because we only had occupation back then. We didn't have construction. They hadn't put it in the game back. So they were only looking at a matchmaking system. And this was over a year ago, and we haven't heard about it since.
Yeah, this is a good thing to talk about, because that's the reason why I don't watch Calphion and Heidel Ball. Because I rather a developer say to me not that much stuff, like don't overpromise and then I'm disappointed. I rather them under-deliver on the ball, not say a lot like, okay, we're fixing this, like 2 or 3 stuff, and then come out with patches that actually do stuff. Like, they don't have to make balls say we're gonna fix the game in Never, because they never give you, like, they give you dates and then, okay, sorry, this is delayed. And the only thing I know is that Hardcore Server was supposed to release in January, I think, and when it released, like February, March. There was like a delay, I'm pretty sure, for that content.
Yeah.
I actually completely dodged that content, but from what I hear, there were some issues, but overall the content was fun, except the class lock, which in my opinion is really bad. But I rather a developer not overpromise and then I'm disappointed. I rather them underpromise and then overdeliver. Like, it's fun to see, if I'm a player, if there's a patch note and there's content that wasn't, let's say they said, okay, we will do this. Like, it wasn't promised that they will make this. Because that means, if I'm looking at it like a player, I'm happy. That means they're working on something, right? Like, but if they promise so much and then do nothing about it, like it's silent, then all I know is, okay, then as a player, I'm thinking, okay, that means they're doing nothing. And that's just bad. That's just bad PR for the company as a whole. Like, it's just bad. I rather have them be a bit more silent on Calphion and Hino balls, and then dish out on Global Labs. Let's say, okay, we're finally removing resist. Meanwhile, they haven't mentioned that in the ball. Every PP player is like, holy shit, they actually listened to something. But now they said it before, and we're waiting for it. Meanwhile, it's not happening. So everybody's just mad at it. Like, everybody's just mad at the company for not doing stuff, because they are working. In the end, if it's a video game company, they have to work on the video game. And they're also doing Crimson Desert. Like, they have a boatload of work. The issue is, if you're like giving us promises of so much stuff and then being silent about it, missing the dates that they were supposed to be delivered, it's not surprised that people that are giga passionate about the video game are leaving. Like, TNL took a boatload of PvP players from BDO. TNL is not a good game, I'm saying it to you. PvP-wise, the only thing it had better is the group content, because it's an MMO. Like, you had, until they killed the bosses, yeah, it was fun. Like, that's the thing. I don't want them to promise us insane stuff, give us a random date, and not give it to us then, because it just looks bad. Just be silent. Just turn the notch down a bit on the Calphion and Hydro Ball. Give us rewards. Like, put us something else. Like, give us something, let's say, that is being planned on. Show us something behind the scenes, and just say, I work in
like
game
peaks.
development. Yeah, just give us a peak. Let's say we're
Give us a pick
think
of
about
Demon
a
Lab
new
or
class and just give us 2 or 3 screenshots of, let's say, some skills. Let people like think about that. Like, I know that there's a Twitter account of people digging up stuff on BDO. Not saying it will happen. I work in game dev. Shit changes. However, that will make people be hyped about the content yet to come. Like, because they're giving us everything and then saying, yeah, it will happen, and it doesn't happen. So we're like,
Yeah.
Okay, nothing.
It's just
It
an
just looks
easy
bad.
way to frustrate the community, right?
And I'm not saying I see, but like, why would they be silent on their best market opportunity? I'm not saying they should be completely silent. Just, okay, here you have a hammer, you have 7k crowns, go F yourself. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that to not disappoint their community. Everybody is waiting for Helen Calphion Ball, not because of the promises, but because of the rewards. And let's not joke ourselves. That's been a thing for years, ever since it started. It's not about, I wonder what crazy stuff will Paralabis give us. No, it's, I wonder what the rewards will be.
Yeah,
But
we
it's
were gonna
been
do
a thing. Like, it's been a thing. You just know that, it is not about rewards, but it seems like it is, because they stuff they promise they don't deliver. And they should change that. The Calphion Ball, from me as a game I'm making my own game, and I know I have worked in game companies before. I know how the behind the scenes looks like. I work in quality assurance. I've seen games bare bones, how stuff changes. And it's cool to give players a sneak peek, but then at the bottom just type, it's in development, stuff will change. That makes the people imagine stuff that can potentially happen in the game. We wanted a necromancer class in this game ever since I started playing this goddamn game. It has never happened.
A shooting person.
Yeah,
It's on Corsair, and we got it on Deadeye, and I think people were super hyped for it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Corsair they finally gave us a gun class. We wanted the gun in the game since a long ass time. But like, Corsair was in the beginning. You had the Patarek, I think it's called. It was a cool design. I really enjoyed Corsair as a class, even though I didn't play a lot. I had friends that played a lot and enjoyed it. Funnily enough, the class is dead right now. That's another topic that we should go for.
Yeah, it should be another whole lot of podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it looks bad for the company. As a player, I should go and watch Calphion Ball and be happy to see where the game is heading. Not that many promises, but the stuff that they are actually saying to us will happen. And okay, they give us like 30% of the ball, they actually give it to us, sometimes delayed, I understand that. But 70% of the ball is just words sent into the players' ears, and nothing happens. I'm sorry to say it. And that's how BDO has been for a while. There is a notion about believers and the like not believers in the BDO community, people who still cope that this game is gonna go crazy, that everything's gonna be delivered. And the other half that the game is going, it's a game, like you play it, doesn't matter what happens. I'm in the middle of it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I do understand your feeling about all, because obviously we are all here very passionate about the game, right? My feelings on Calphion Balls and Halo Balls, I'm just gonna say that I have this sentiment on Christmas, very close to Christmas, that you are sort of starting your holidays or very close to it, and it's on a weekend, and you wake up here in EU super early to watch it. And I believe that it's such like a kind of what's the word?
Heartwarming.
Yeah, heartwarming feeling for me to just wake up, stay on the PC. I would always watch it with my sister because she also plays video, and just talk about the topics and debate. And she was sort of a newbie, and like I was always explaining to her what that really mean, or what could develop, or what would the game direction of the game would be, right, in the future. So for me, it was more of a way to, and I know for other people, to like gather all the community and watch what the future of the game was supposed to be. Whether if they delivered or not, for me, it was secondary. It was more of a special date, mostly 2 days in the year, together with your friends, family in my case, watch it and enjoy it. And most of the parts, maybe the content wasn't good, or looking back, or maybe it wasn't delivered, or but for me it was that sentiment connected to BDO what made it rather than anything else.
So
That's just my take.
okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the
take
other
over,
things in the
Quinn.
global lab in a fast way. Then we can start to talk about open world PvP, what we can do about open world PvP.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
added the Dead Eyes Magnus skill. It was quite late, and like Dosai's was also. Dosai's was kind of disappointment. I'll be honest with you. It's not a toxicity.
Yeah.
It was deep disappointment, and this looks like gonna be disappointment. At least it's like protected skill. There is no PvP CC in it. Seems like okay-ish PvE skill because the animation is longer than you people think. That damage may look a little bit big. It says 27 damage it has, but it has long damage. And if you ask me, I'm testing billions of different classes situations. This skill will be kind of a low-tier skill that you can prefer. And,
What do you think?
Yeah, Specs, you play Deadeye?
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything special. It's nothing special. And it's full SA from what I can see as well. It's like
it looks dead on
it
release.
doesn't have, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing, no CC, nothing.
Nothing special in this skill. I'm just passing it because there's nothing to talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that, and I want to so like especially thanks to the CM Zarka. He's in chat right now. I don't know if he typed something. I just mentioned about this issue many times in stream. Approximately 3 weeks ago, I've reached to CM Zarka and I want to talk about this situation. This is the PvI frame situation in the game, because most of the classes, there is a list on the screen. Warrior, Soak, Ranger, Musa, Mayawa, Valkyrie, Ninja, Kunoichi, Shai, what is Brawler, Striker, Mystic, Dark Knight, Archer, Guardian, Assassin, Nova, Sage, Corsair, Dracania, Wusa, Mayagu, Scholar, Dosa, Deadeye. That these classes, they do not have infinite PvI frames. You have to roll whenever you need, just for example, you need to just PvI frame for 5 seconds. You consume everything, you start to roll. And there was a gap in roll. And also, when you roll, if you just want to use in the middle of the roll, when the roll ends, it was just creating some kind of clunky animation, not allowing you to cancel your skills. Thanks God that they just fixed that issue. They just changed the mechanic of the roll, the evasion roll. Now, whenever you just evasion roll, when you use the skill, it will cancel your skill like you dash. We did tests. It's working on Druk. It's working in most other classes. Maybe on some classes there's some bugs. We test Sage. Sage has some bugs. We also just send feedback about that. Probably on official update they can fix it. On next week they can fix it.
Yeah.
I'm appreciated. This
It-
is something that's showing us they are listening us.
This is something I think we talked on the first podcast, and it's very helpful for many classes. Like, rather than giving them their normal PVI frame, having this, like, let's be real, you're gonna use this for all this hard content that they're delivering, where they just have one big AoE, big attack that you necessarily need to dodge. So this just makes it insanely better for these
gonna
classes
be
that didn't have the spammable.
I like that they listen about this, but I'm gonna be completely honest. I see this only being a thing for the C10 bosses, right? This is basically a
Yeah.
trick for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are they still using evasion? Like, evasion is kind of an easy way to say we don't want to look at the class's protection against, like, an iframe protection against PvE content. So they're just evasion is still in the game purely because you can make a button that lets you evade damage for like all the time. I'm not sure. I don't remember if evasion uses stamina, but if it doesn't, then yeah, it's basically
It does,
for
it does.
PvE. Okay, so if it
It
uses
does.
stamina,
I think it's mentioned a little bit above. It will be 150 stamina for all the classes.
Yeah,
Am I tripping here? Yeah.
yeah,
Don't
okay.
let my memory. I
150.
just did 7 exams, but I still can't remember much.
Yeah, like in my opinion, this is. I understand it's in the game, so might as well use it. As in, a class needs iframe movement technically, so let's just use it. A class being invulnerable for when it uses it, so it can dodge trees. Makes sense. However, it might, like, looking at it from a game design point of view, it's kind of lazy. Why not just look at what classes do? Let's say Succession Sage. I played it a lot. At the end of Rift Chain, it's protected movement. It has an SA part when it walks out. The same when it goes into it. People don't realize it is super armor when he opens the portal. That kills you on AORUS back in the days a lot. That's why you couldn't grind on Sage, because if you're trying to iframe it at the moment the golem arm nukes, it will kill you in the SA.
Yep.
Why not fix that? Why not give it a PvE iframe? Why not look at that sort of stuff? If a class has permanent mobility, like a permanent mobile ability, why not give that iframe instead of focusing on evasion? I like that they listened about this. This is
Do you
good.
want me to answer that
Yeah,
last
go
part?
ahead.
Because evasion was already programmed in the game. So
Yeah, of
every
course.
class was burned with that skill. So
Yeah,
if you just make it's an easier way to solve what you just said, put it in common because everyone has it, you just make it work. And that's it. You don't have to go through the burden of going class by class and do it in an individual way. That's
yeah,
what I
but
think.
why force a class to basically roll? And I'm pretty sure the only animation that's different is the ninja one, where he does the flip, or like some other classes have it as
Yeah.
well. But why?
I mean,
like,
but it's
give-
easy, it's fast, and it solves the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
Just-
right.
Yeah, I agree. It just looks a bit lazy in my point of view, but I understand it's in the game. Why not use it? So it makes sense.
Yeah,
Maybe-
that's the thing. It's not defending them. It's like it is for the purpose that it's needed. It's gonna work.
Yeah.
It's helpful, and it's cost development efficient, right? So sort of makes sense.
Maybe like I've sent this report 3 weeks ago. Maybe they wanted to just fix this issue as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And in my report, I was just asking this. For example, you have a dash skill. Let's name the dash skill is Dragon Walk. Dragon Walk is Draconia's dash skill in Pro Awakening and Awakening both. And it has 2-second cooldown. If I just dash, I have to wait 2 seconds. Or I have to just evasion roll and clunky situation, like gaps, blah, blah, blah. You're dying or something. Never mind. And I was just saying that, copy paste that skill and create a skill, flow of Dragon Walk or flow Dragon Walk. Make it passive. Let us use the skill when the Dragon Walk is in cooldown. Let's just make it only PVI frame, no protection in it. I will be able to just dash around like Shy, like Witch. You can just dash around. It's a perfect PVI frame, isn't it? Whenever in PvP, let me just lock it so there will be no issues about the unprotected dashes around. So that was my suggestion, but probably that thing will just cost them a long time to recreate new skills. I was thinking that maybe it can be easy, but BDO is spaghetti codes. Probably it was just hard to just code, and we already have evasion. Let's rework the evasion. Let's just remove the gaps, add linger PVI frame in it. Let's just make it faster. Let's just make it whenever you have movement speed buff, let's make it faster so they can react and they can roll faster, they can cancel it faster. I mean, it's better than nothing. After long year, I can be able to cancel my skills in a way, I mean, my Dracania while I'm doing, you know, the contents in the game, in party boss splits, solo boss splits, the new dungeons maybe. We will need probably lots of PVI frames in this dungeons. That's nice. Probably it's just...
Yeah, go.
Honestly, I completely agree with your suggestion, and also what you probably said is true. It would take too long than Dismal Fix. That's why they did Dismal Fix instantly, because it was probably an easier thing to do than copy paste the skill, make it unprotected, and make it PvE only iframe. It would take longer. And they're probably right now, I'm guessing their focus is getting Crimson Desert out of the oven, because that game is soon to be released in this year. Number two, they're working on the new zone, which the only thing I saw is that you're supposed to, like, as a player, you can own the castle there and people can PvP you for that castle, so some type like that. So I understand they're working on that a lot and probably on the new class. But knowing from video games, there's probably like 10 plus classes made in the back, just ideas and skills, probably not protection, but they probably have 10 class designs already made. And they're just picking one up whenever they have the time. Like, okay, it's time to make a new class. So go down the list. This one looks fun enough. We're already working on it. We're taking this one. Look at Wukong. It's in the mobile. It's in the mobile version of the game. It's not on. It's not on PC as well. And I expect that class to release in the end.
Yeah, me too.
They should have released the Wukong class whenever the game got released in China. Such a
That is true. That is such a missed opportunity. That is true.
I think that's like, I'm not a game developer or anything. I'm in the engineering side of things, and whenever you are developing a product to be released, it's just such a missed opportunity whenever you think about it. The amount of money that they could have made just with that class in that game and in that region, it's just absurd.
Yep.
But
another thing.
Can I say something about the PVI frame thing?
Please.
Oh, yep. Okay.
I think we already talked about this in the first podcast, but I think the very need to have a spammable PVI frame is a severe flaw in game design.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if anyone here or anyone listening has played something like Dark Souls games, whenever you're fighting a boss or another enemy and you have to spam dodge roll to evade, especially Dark Souls 2, because the others have pretty readable movesets, it feels like bullshit. And when you have to do it in BDO, especially Big King, because Sengun, it's very readable nowadays, but against Big King especially, it just feels boring. Like, if you give me a readable moveset that I can dodge with an iframe skill, I don't need to be iframing skill, and if I don't need to be iframing constantly. And if you're gonna give me a blanket one shot that covers the entire arena for like 20 seconds and I have to keep spam dodging, at that point I would rather give the players like save zones in the arena, much like you have in the case of Bulgasol or in some interaction bosses where you have to stand to avoid the damage in that time frame, not just spam dodging is, I feel like in PvE is such poor design.
Yeah. Another thing is ranked AOS is on the way. The big W for this AOS is just you can only encounter with one class in one team. Yeah, that's also
huge
good.
Change.
Yeah, like we talked about that for Good League, and they applied it to the AOS. Big W for us, I believe. It's showing that they're listening us. I don't know if you guys just listen to the other podcast. We talked about many other things, like let's add a utility to Node Siege, let's increase the rewards or something. After 3 weeks, they did. Not exactly what we said, but at least they're doing it their own way, and it's W for me. I believe like they're listening at all.
Nope.
I think like I don't want to talk about what will the meta in iOS. There's some
Arena of Sage.
Sage, Awaken Mayagu, like Succession Berserker, Awaken Striker, Awaken Mystic. Already these classes just dominating the game. Maybe we will see like Scholar, maybe we will see, I'm not sure about Scholar, but maybe we'll see Sakdosa and maybe Awakening Land, like some 10 classes dominating game right now in the game. We all 100% sure. We got every streams, every other things, like every PvP podcast, we talked about them. I don't want to give extreme details about them. We're just like, I just want to kill myself when I see these classes. But like in Mina server, there are the top guilds, they only play these classes. I feel I'm playing Awakened Drake. I feel like I'm playing different game. I came to the game from different universe. Everybody is the same species, but I'm different. Like, never mind. You guys feel the same.
Funny enough, Awakening Drag used to be the same, remind you, back when Awakening Drag was dominating the scene, because you could get the unkillable.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
talking about class design, I think you guys talked about it last podcast. I didn't watch it, my bad, but you talking a bit about that. No class should be.
Hold up. What happened? Discord just gone. Hold up, I'll fix it. I'm really sorry about that. I am trying. Is it back? It's not coming back. I'm just reopen the Discord. Okay. Come on, Discord. You can do this. You can do this. Okay.
V1 to small scale, one of the best classes. Like, what the hell? It shouldn't be that way. There is no point of making a class. And Sage also grinds really good. It shouldn't work that way. There shouldn't be a gold tier class that does every type of content perfectly. It's just bad. It's just completely bad. And as I said, there should be classes that are completely dead. Like Drakania was OP at one point, but now it's dead because it's just dead in the sort of PvP that's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's just bad. I'm sorry to say it. It's just completely bad from a game dev and game design standpoint. You should, instead of nerfing something that's OP, buff something that's not OP to not a similar level, because that means every class would be OP, and that makes it that the game would be brain dead a lot. We would go back to the full SA protected meta, which sort of is happening with iframe CCs, SACCs. On core, it makes sense, but if Sage can do Shift E dash and knock back you through frontal guard, it looks bad. Same with Deadeye, it has an iframe stiff. Also bad. Ranger used to have that, and I think still has. It just looks bad. Like, a class should be able to grind the content that is added to the game. Like, for example, AORUS shouldn't need to be grindable. I'm sorry. Like, why is Shy needed to grind Bekia AORUS? It's because, A, we don't reach nobody reaches the fucking AP cap. Number two, it's just, it's OP in that sort of scenario because the golem spawns every Misty. So it's free. Like, it's legit free. It shouldn't work that way. Like, you should be able to go AORUS with what classes you want, and you should be able to do good enough trash. There should be, let's say, class comps on party content like AORUS that produce the most amount of trash, but you shouldn't be forced to pick one class because it is perfect for that type of content. The same goes with PvP. There shouldn't be a class that does large scale, small scale, and 1v1s insanely well, like Sage does right now, like Drakania did before. It shouldn't. Sage could be really good. Like, look at Suck Sage, for example. It's being slept upon right now, but Suck Sage is really strong. Large scale, it is really good. 1v1s, unplayable. Small scale, if abused by the enemy team, unplayable as well. Makes sense that class can still be played in PvP content. Awakening Drak got gutted down into oblivion from being a god tier class because it had healing, it could be played tank, it had reset combos, it could combo you instantly. 1v1s was really strong. Small scale was strong. I wouldn't say it was OP, it was strong. Large scale was strong if played well enough. Like, you had to have hands on it. It was a 1-2-3 class like Succession, Zerker, when class reboot came back. I played that class back then. I can tell you, a fully protected SA kit with infinite stamina was stupid. Well, yeah, like,
Still is.
Well, right now they play 6 DR crystals that are unkillable. Again, bad design. But every class should be able to do at least some sort of content on some level. You shouldn't be forced. Like, Shy is the one class that's an issue because it's a purely support class that can't kill players. And it's only, like, Shy is needed for large scale content. That's another bad issue. Why are there not more classes that give you buffs similar or a bit different than Shy? Why isn't there another support class? I know people will hate me for saying this, but there should be another option to Shy, because just having Shy makes people want to delete Shy from the game, which is bad. Like, the class was a mistake when it released, I will say it. But now, since it's been so long since it's in the goddamn game, just make another support class so these players have variety. Okay. And that's basically it. You can't remove the class, it's impossible.
Let's do quick, if you want, future guessings of what is going to be OP on AOS, and we can move on to some other points.
Yeah, just name these classes. Tell.
My take: Sage, Hash, Suck, and Awakening.
Both Hash specs are... Awakening is so slept on right now.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows how to play.
Mystic, Awakening Mystic.
Yeah, Mystic Striker is always...
Because Evasion is getting buff in this patch.
Yeah, a bit, from the
a bit buff in this patch.
Awakening Nova is dead.
Oh, rest in peace.
Yes.
Yeah, like
He
Ah.
won't
Plus
be
not,
rest in peace.
probably will not be able to do some, high numbers in AOS, I believe, because of the changes. People still, play the class, I believe, but we will not probably see Nion is just 3.5k seats for 2 months.
I mean, maybe he does it on stage, right? So
I mean, Nion used to be a Socksword player before, but I know that, for example, one of the better Nova's quiz is on a Sage right now. So, yeah, that says a lot about the class.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's going to be Hashes, Sages, Tamer. I swear Tamer is slept upon. Awakening and Succession Tamer are really strong in AOS. That class is so strong in AOS. So I expect them to be in the top 10 as well. And Succession Zerker maybe, but honestly, a Suck Zerker grab bot on iOS is not as strong. And I feel with the V changes, which kind of nerfed the grab, and also it now not regenerating stamina and Lava Piercer, I don't feel that class will be that strong.
We had those changes before all of those changes. We had already all of them before the half of last iOS season, and Zerk was still, I think, the second highest elo class after Deadeye.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Deadeye is gonna be dead too, right?
Yeah, that is gonna be there too. The
Awakening?
thing that's OP about Succession Zerker is, you're right actually about this. I forgot about this completely. I used to talk a lot with my good friend Osku, which is a Zerker main. The one OP thing about Zerker is the Shift E grab from Lava Piercer. It is a insta grab. It doesn't have an animation. So if you're in SA, if you have ping, you will grab a person. Doesn't matter what he's doing. So that is probably the reasoning why Suck Zerker was so strong in AOS. Because, I mean, grab is an instant V. You're burning somebody's V basically instantly. Yeah, I mean, Zerker can be and probably will be up there. We have really good Zerker players on EU. And on NA, I know there's a lot of good Zerker players as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So the changes, there's some crystal changes. They removed the Viper from AOS. They removed the Parfia from AOS as a crystal, but to compensate it, they gave 60 evasion. It's 60 evasion to the evasion armors. They took away 40 evasion. They gave 60 and 20 evasion for the evasion-based classes, especially a Mystic and Striker. Like we all expecting nerf on these classes. Like I 100% sure that our GMCM team knows they're broken. Maybe they already sent report. We know that PI is working on PvP class balance thing. But I have to say that they are listening what we say about quality of life, overall game problems, or some other things. But about class balance, I have no hopes, I'll be honest with you, because like we saw it in PV balance patch. They started really nice. Every week when I encountered with the patch, I was just like, okay, this time PA just cooking it, and this time it is time, like PA will just make it. But now, after the week 3 or 4, they start to just create a mess. After 8 week, like same shit, different color. Like, the gap between top and bottom is still the thing. Yeah, another thing, RBF, they added the Valencia map to the RBF. That's pretty nice. Like there was only one map. They also wanted to kind of kill the carpet meta in RBF. If you're holding the territory or the checkpoint, I don't know what I would say, the circle, you capture it, and in that area your DR will be reduced 220 and your evasion, but it cannot be below 550. 550 is a little bit low, not gonna lie. 286, really, yeah, the all evasion will be reduced 286. I would love to see a little bit 350, not gonna lie, because the other evasion, their rate is a little bit different, but they know what they do, I believe. But at these rates, 550 DR is too low. I will say, like, just as a random succession ranger, just pew pew pew, like 3 shots you. Just like a dot, I don't know how to say.
Yep, that would be an issue.
I'm laughing in my inside because I'm running all-out attack on Sage, and currently my build is like 520, and you guys are already saying that's too low.
So it will not affect you. So this is good for like DR
I'm good,
stack.
guys. Maybe they put my DR up to 550.
DR stack, Nova, Berserkers, Shies, they were just sitting in the place and staying in unkillable. This is really nice, but 550 for normal players, it's too low. 620 would be nice. I don't know.
I'll be honest, is it that hard to code into the game that if somebody's running tanky build, such tanky setup? I mean, everybody's running all DR, all evasion artifacts, most except Sages, and I guess range classes. But like just code into the game, if somebody's running DR, the DR crystals, yeah, look at that player and then give them the debuff, because this will give everybody the debuff, which is easy to make because it doesn't require you to look at every single class, but it just will hurt a lot of the people that are not playing full blast, but they're playing a bit tanky just to survive. They're running bitterness and they're getting debuffed, and then they're getting one shot. That will basically make everybody in RBF run glass cannon, which is just bad.
Disable tanky carries with crystals near the point. Might be a better option.
No, that's too funky. Like, I don't know. This is an issue that has been a thing because if a striker runs carpet and just sits on the point, you can't do anything. You just go and just leave him to his demise, and he just sits there, takes the point. What you could technically do is start giving that buff after some time. Let's say if a tank class enters the point and starts capturing it, it starts the debuff, like let's say, because it's 5 ticks, I think, before the point is captured. Let's say after the first tick, it starts giving you a debuff and then a bigger one, a bigger one, a bigger one. And that will make it that if you're playing glass, nothing changes for you because you're already playing glass cannon. Like, that wouldn't work. Let's keep the DR brackets on you. But if you're playing a really tanky class, it would get harder for you to capture the point at the end, because then you are hit by the highest amount of debuff and people can actually kill you. That means you can't just, go in and seek the point, right? If somebody spots you.
Let's see how this affects.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
we will see how it works exactly.
Let's see how it feels overall, because RBF is more like a chaotic sort of,
I hate
environment.
Yeah, another
Let's
quality
see,
of life.
what happens.
Like
Go
you
ahead.
guys, like they added Magnus and they added the global storage thing. You can reach every storage anywhere, whenever you want, wherever you want. And the transport wagons or transport ships, whatever, they just become trash. They wanted to update them as a trade wagon. It's a good quality of life. I really liked it. And they just buffed the C content, these treasures. I'm just passing this part because I don't think there's something that talk about them. They just added these treasures. We already have them, but they just buffed it. And now if you just use the silver key and if you just gold key, it depends which key you use to open them. You will get higher rewards. They will give these trade items. They will give some other things, and I'm just passing that part.
Let's see how good those are.
Yeah, we will see
Let's see.
And the another good thing about the game is just they mentioned that we are changing the furniture system into this one. The furniture buffs will turn into 1-hour scrolls. So we will get all the items, all the furniture buffs, all AP 15, accuracy 20, 100 HP, 15 DR, 20 evasion. No matter where you are at, when you are at, it's not important. You will just use them as basic scrolls to boost your AP, to boost your stats. That's also a good quality of life update.
Can you use all of them at the same time, or can you only
No,
use
you
one?
cannot. No, you cannot.
You can just
Okay,
one.
thank God.
It would have been too much, not gonna lie. But this is gonna be good for hunters. Let's see how much money they make now.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
we will see.
it's an interesting take. Let's see.
Maybe it will be cheaper. Maybe it will be a little bit expensive.
I think it's gonna be
compared to the
cheaper.
other. Probably,
There's gonna be more furniture buffs all around. That's my prediction, but it's predictions, so
we will see. We need time to do that. I don't want to just talk about the details, how you craft them. That's nice. Another good quality of life update. We have lots of event items, lots of things that you cannot use with the BSpirit auto usage thing. They added almost everything in the game that you can use as consumable into that thing. Even the scrolls, they're huge list about it. I don't want to show it. Like, it's infinite lists. They added almost everything that you can use, grinding, doing PvP, and I'm appreciated. What's this? Area, ash forests. Let me check. Quality of life. Okay, another thing about training. I'm appreciated that they realized training is just people were making up to 20 bill in a day, and it was just requires nothing, literally nothing, nada, zero. And you can have a one naked character, just rope and a sugar. You catch horses. The game is giving you free tier 10. You can level it up and you can make money like that. And they nerfed it. It was a little bit broken. They nerfed the probability of tier 7 and tier 8 horses catched from the wild nature by 50%. It will still be viable. It will not be broken. That's the thing. They also added these treasure items to the game. The shining rope. It will be infinite rope. And how you get it? You need to become master 1 as a trainer. And also you need to be able to complete the artisan 10 quests in the training life skill quests. Also they added the infinite sugar from Merendora. To get it, you need to have Nest of Crow. What was the name of this in English?
Sanctuary. So it's
you need to have all tier 3 horses. Then you will directly get it. And that's nice.
I mean, sugar isn't a problem either, but sure, why not?
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a little bit luxury, but it's It is what it is. It's some kind of another reward for you if you get 3 tier 10 horses. Did we talk about this thing? I think we talked about the first 3 dungeons.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that you
this
can
is
instantly skip.
basically what we mentioned about making like the rewards, like dungeon situation, the rewards in itself weren't improved. It's just that you're gonna make it 3 or 4 times faster now.
Yeah,
Which
we will test it.
I think it kills a little bit the purpose of the dungeons because you don't get involved in the lore and all that, but you get the rewards faster. So on theory, it's better for the rewards, worse for the experience overall of what dungeons is supposed to be, in my opinion.
The rewards are worthless, so nobody's gonna do it even with
Yeah.
this. Like I'll say it, like
Unless they listen the first part of this podcast,
Yeah,
unless they listen, we're giving them ideas. Woohoo!
So for example, there are common items, the seals or tokens, I don't know the names. They can buff it, they can update it, the current situation of the game, they can add some special things like immortal oil, some other things like that will just give people to go there on a purpose. If I do that, I'll get, for example, every week 50 immortal oils, but they will be event immortal oils or unsellable. So you will only use them for yourself. So maybe some other things, you guys say that maybe every week or every 2 weeks, hammer that you can use for your Karazats or that you can use for other items and something like that. That's also good. Like anything that draw people's attention. And I would love to see it on the common seals in the attraction.
Yeah, good.
Let me check the other things. Oh, like we talked about that the node war changes. Yeah, we talked about this one.
Can we let Specs just throw in all his stuff because he has to leave at 7, so he can do a summary of what he thinks about the node war changes, and then he can just leave.
Okay.
Your time to shine, Spexito.
Shine. I mean, regarding this patch, I mean, there's not much that happened, right? For example, last week, the canon change happened, and then later on, they kind of reverted it. Like in this GLab patch, it's a bit further down somewhere, partially reverted it. So regarding the canon change, they're still buffed. It's a complete shame that the crafted damage bonus was not working in the first place. But that coming back, also 30%, plus the extra buff that it got last week, currently, until first day, until patch day, flame towers are like 5 shots until certain death. It's a bit ridiculous how fast these things die. The meta has shifted to entire main raids partially sitting on top of cannons, and that's how you win a node war at some point. So yeah, I'm glad they're reverting that partially. But when it comes to these traps, I mentioned something like in the last podcast, I think, or something, where I was talking about how I'm confused why so much utility that they made and put into the game is not being put to use at all. Why nobody cares about it, because it has no use at all. And then I said something about traps as well, and yeah, they got to it. It's not what I expected, but it's something at least, right? Poison traps not having this one anymore, but dealing double damage. It's cool, right? It's cool. Not like the poison traps, not like they stack or anything, so they're not exactly that dangerous.
It's gonna be Giga though.
Yeah.
On tier 1.
Okay. I mean, so far it has only disabled HP pots. So far.
Yeah, it does 50 damage basically if you don't count HP pot use. Like if you count HP pot use, just 50 damage, which is nothing. You have 10k HP. Yeah, that'll be real. The poison trap change is nothing.
You have 6.5. Then tier 1, no, it feels a little bit strong for tier 1 from my perspective. But remains
content,
it's just delaying the fight. Like for example, let's say that you just affected by poison trap, you have to wait. If you go there, you die instantly because there is no recovery.
Yeah, they would get that if it was stackable, right? If somebody actually coordinated to have so many fucking poison traps everywhere that somebody has to, I don't know, fucking sacrifice themselves and jump in there and essay and just pop them all and maybe die. Just some sort of thing that it's important.
I don't know, like the thing is, even though you have in tier 1 have 5k HP, you have healing abilities. So if you're fighting, sure, it's 50 damage per 2 seconds for 20 seconds. So that's technically 500 damage that you get from that because the HP pot heals 550. That is kind of negated by just having HP on hit on skills. So this trap is still dead in my opinion. Because if you're fighting against our main raid, you have some skill like let's say Sage has lightning prison. Usually Sage just put HP on hit on it and it already has HP on hit. You will heal from that skill. This trap does nothing. What they could do, which is controversial, add healing reduction to the trap. that would make the trap really strong, and that would make it that if you step on it, let's say you have 20% healing reduction, that is a complete, like, make it still do 600, but I'm like 20% healing reduction. That will make healing from hitting people / buildings way weaker, so that trap is technically viable to be used. The flame trap change is good. I guess it's more AoE, but yeah, the
It's a bit
poison trap, in my
irrelevant.
opinion, still it looks dead. Because in Node Wars, you don't wait 20 seconds between. Sometimes you do, but still, like, you will still be technically fighting. Like, a lot of people that will pop traps will be fighting, except maybe Musas or Maywas if they exist.
It's good for defending cannons at least.
Yeah, but if you put it under a cannon, the guy that procs it is already going to be fighting you, so he's going to be healing from abilities. So it's
Oh,
a
you're
good
about
damage.
poison trap, okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about poison trap. Like, if it just completely negates the idea. Like, sure, he's gonna take 600 damage, cool, but if he's healing from fighting, then that damage is completely negated plus the HP pot. It's only 50,
Yeah.
50 damage technically. It's not 600, it's 50. So it completely, nobody places these traps. Nobody. They're kind of useless. Like, flame traps are dismount horses, which is crazy for a cannon defense. And it's overall good if, let's say, you're in a castle, you're defending castle, and they want to horse rush. It's also good for that. Elephant traps, I mean, it's the strongest trap in the game for a reason.
Yeah.
Because sitting elephants is way more important. But yeah, poison trap is completely dead. And there's a lot of items in the guild shop that you are supposed to use. Hey, everybody use the flashbang. Like, they're completely dead items. Like,
let me cut you here because I want to give a small time for Specs to just say his final thoughts on Node Wars overall, and he can go. Like, are you happy with the direction? Do you want to see more? Is it good? Is it bad?
Well, the direction is great. I mean, they're picking up things that they left behind for quite some time. It's very good. I have no idea what the fuck the chariot is. I've been told that it's only available in KR sieges outside of War of the Roses, of course. But I mean, if they add that to sieges, sure, I'll be there for it. But overall, they're going in the right direction. The cannons, we're gonna have to see. Like, they adjusted the damage. It's still buffed, but gonna have to see how important they are. But giving importance to cannons in the first place is amazing. They're not exactly irrelevant. It's just that I believe that they should have buffed the damage to other buildings as well, soft structures as well, possibly. But I mean, overall, pretty cool changes. I hope to see more of it, especially regarding the other traps, like the stun trap having some sort of better use, because if you have an SA, there's no stun trap and it has no effect. Unless you're stupid to run into it, then yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I gotta go though. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
See you.
Enjoy.
I like the latest changes. Like, they buffed Ballista, and Ballista is a thing right now. It really deals good damage to the structures, especially to wall. Now they buffed the Chariot. That's also another thing. Like there are people that they have no idea what is Chariot. And like, until I saw this one, I completely forgot about that there's a Chariot in the game, in Sieges. Now they just buffed it a little bit, the damage-wise and some other things. They're trying to increase the utility part of the Siege and nodes, and I am appreciated about that. We would love to see more things that they can add to the node and Siege. Rewards, again, like, not saying pure silver, rewards for the PvP players.
Yes. I think just to be short on this, I think the direction is good because the changes have to come within the nature of what Nodeware essence is, which is this utility, this Nodeware complete scenario that makes it a Nodeware and differentiates it from other PvP aspects, right? So giving more reason and more meaning into the nature of the mode and making it better, it will just go into the better of the game because it develops the strategy behind it and the reason for things to happen, right? So I think so far, like, I want to see more, but on the same direction. Like, give us more tools to make and build strategies around it.
Okay, what do you think about this?
I think the changes are good overall. They can expand on more, like Specs suggested some time ago. For example, the ankle trap changes, those were good. I think they can do more. But so far, it's pretty nice changes. They buffed the towers that you could place outside of the forts in Siege. Those were a good change. On Ballista, on the other hand, I feel a bit differently. Well, I feel like Ballista is so strong that in most sieges, whenever there's alliances that are trying to make a balanced fight, more often than not, which is, well, nearly always, Ballista is banned because even a single shot can turn the fight around and completely destroy base.
Ballista 2 shows Castle Gate.
I feel like if they nerfed it a little bit instead of buffing it, we would see more use, like more unbanned use, like unpunished use. People would be able to use it strategically, and it wouldn't be something it wouldn't be frowned upon, let's say. Meanwhile, right now, people just tend to ban it for diplo fights, like for organized fights, because it's just
a ballista being alive and being able to shoot. Like if a ballista's on the battleground, you have to kill it. If it shoots more than once, your wall is gone. Your inside of the base is gone. That's not strategy. If you're basically placing a beacon on the map that everybody has to go and kill on the other side, right? That's like, I agree, utility should be a part of the fight, but not make this game revolve around utility. Like, for example, let's look at Siege and let's look at walls. Right now, I saw that they made a difference. The cannonballs now do more damage to wooden barricades, like with the walls. Good idea. However, that will make it that killing cannons is your way to defend your base, which it makes main rate fights kind of pointless because we're waiting for utility to do a hole, and the only way for main rate to do a hole is either A, an elephant, which is also utility, B, equipping a Trina axe and chopping down the goddamn wall. That is so old. That has been in the game.
We've had some in the past, not in current Node Wars, but like 2-3 months ago, we would just have a squad that literally would be on carpet build, equipping Trina axe and axing down the gate.
Yeah, of course.
Just to make down a hole. And it worked very good. This is safe.
Yeah, it's like a termite just slowly eating through your goddamn wall. You know, like there should be, let's say, if they want to add utility, let's say they make not elephants, because right now I know elephants got nerfed that if you're in SA, they won't stun you. God bless. Thank you for that change. Elephants has been the most annoying part of Node Wars for years. And the fact that you can't mouse move them, you can't stomp, which has been abused quite a while, for quite a long time. It's a good change. Why not make, let's say, a battering ram that, like, let's say 4 members have to use it, make it, like, what's it called? Quoting Lord of the Rings, like, they have to drag it close to a wall, and then if the battering ram, let's say, hits it 4 or 5 times, the wall gets broken. Like, that would make it that the main ways are basically fighting because, the defending guild has to basically kill the battering ram, so they have to fight the enemy main guild, and the attacking guild has to protect the battering ram. That, like, cause, let's look at the siege, what are they called? The siege towers that you can move. It's dead. Nobody uses them. We have T10 horses. Why would you need to walk up a tower that you can get hit on that is also laggy, makes you desync, when you can just take up T10 Pegasus and fly into the enemy base? Like, why would we use that sort of stuff? Nobody uses them in castles as well, even though you can't fly into castles and those crystals are basically unkillable. Nobody uses that sort of stuff. Like, you will just push into a gate. It's way easier than having to deal with a siege tower. Like, remove that thing and just make walls, let's say barricades, be pushed by a battering ram. The same with, let's say, castle gate. Like, right now it's either a horse charging on your kill it, or spoiler, ballista completely insta kills the castle gates. Like, it annihilates them. And as a defending castle guild, killing a ballista is hard because they usually, let's say, Medaya Castle, the quote-unquote easiest castle to defend, is actually right now hard because people place flags outside. The main raid is sitting on the ballista. They're just basically waiting for ballista to be created. Ballista shoots the castle gate is down. Like, it's insta-dead, people go in. Like, the utility weapon that makes it so main raids have to fight to protect and attack it. Because legit, the game right now is with the cannons being buffed, is just utility. Like, you place 3 cannons, you place your main raid on it, and you just wait until the cannon kills kills the main rate does nothing. They just like look at each other or sometimes bicker and fight while cannons are doing all the job. It is not strategy, because the strategy would be that main rate has some sort of impact on the war itself and not only cannons. That's why I saw that Specs said that cannons should also do damage to buildings. How about we make it that buildings are, if let's say FTs are down, buildings get squishier and squishier, so players can also work onto destroying that thing, right? Like, because it right now, I also know that looking, because my guild was fighting Mickey yesterday 1v1, and I know from my good friends in Utilities faces that cannons one-shot rebuilds right now. So how are you supposed to come back when a cannon, if hit, instantly one-shots your rebuild, and the main rate cannon and do nothing? Like, it's just, it's boring. There's no strategy in it.
There's two things about what you just said. The first that I want to address is the last one that you just said, which is them making utility that strong. It's gonna help in the direction that we don't want, which is node wars are gonna go shorter and shorter because that's gonna be too powerful. And the strategy is just gonna rely on that. And it's not gonna be complex at all. It's like the guild that does the best utility, that's the guild that is gonna win. So technically, they won't need to put the node wars to 2 hours if they do that, right? And the second thing that I want to point out was that you mentioned that castles were being now more than ever harder to defend. And I want to do sort of like a prediction because they have officially announced the possibility of the castle owners having a dragon, and I want to kind of see what sort of
It's not happening.
gameplay
Here's
that
the
thing
thing.
is gonna bring. I mean, the dragon is already in the game. How is it gonna be for them in the castle defenses? Maybe that just turns the table. We would see.
It's probably gonna come, but I think like it's gonna help when you have always the enemies bunched up in front of the gate, and you can just keep blasting them either from the top of the wall or you push them, and now you can do that from the dragon. The main problem with defending castle right now is that people can just backdoor you one way or another, because there's many ways for each castle to backdoor you. They can just get into your base, bleed your structures a little bit at a time. And once your recos start going down and you start taking longer to resupply the fight on the front, they can just push through. Like the dragon will probably be able to help the fight in the front, but it's not really gonna.
I mean, funnily enough, looking at the dragon, if it's gonna be a glorified CC bot, it's gonna be like Karak back in the old days. If people played back then, they should remember it. If you're holding Medaya Castle, it's 2 bridges and an island. Karaks used to CC you on hits, so what guilds that were defending used to do was to bring 2 and 3 Karaks and just shoot AFK, shoot the bridges, and the people used to get CC'd. And that's basically what the dragon is going to do if it doesn't one-shot. And if it one-shots, it's too broken. That will make castles unpushable. Another thing, classes have a hard time of aiming upwards, funnily enough. Number 2, the dragon will be desyncy like hell, because this game is plagued by desync. So if there's a guy flying around on a dragon that has a single hit mark and you can only target it, it won't die. It just won't die.
Funny enough, though, the dragon, I don't know how much you guys have flied with the dragon or flown with it, but it's not that fast. Like, if you compare it to current horses, especially new TV9, I missed forgetting the name, the Voltarian, the dragon is actually not that fast if you compare it to all these mounts. So maybe it's not
sure,
that
but
bad?
it's a gimmick that can be fixed right now in the game. It's not, you don't have to create a fix for that. That will probably, if the issue is if they make the dragon CCs, it kills, right? Let's say it has a time limit, for example, because if a castle defender has a dragon from the start, and let's say look at Medaya Castle, which has been known for being the most unbalanced castle to attack since the the castle released, pretty much. It's just gonna be annoying to deal with. Like, you don't want to create game mechanics that are annoying to deal with. You want to create game mechanics that are, there is a reason behind them. And if they start changing the Node War system, the siege system again, they'll have to address the dragon again. And looking how they change stuff, that's just gonna probably stay and it's not gonna get moved. And then there's gonna be a whole balancing issue with that. Instead of adding stuff that can fix what's wrong, how about you look at stuff that is already in the game and fix it based on what's already in the game? There's no point of you piling down new mechanics, and that me contradicting myself with the battery RAM. They can still do some stuff with that. Just fix what's already in the game. Like, make a leveled playing field in the game. You don't have, like, the issue right now with defending is that in order for you to successfully defend, you have to kill cannons and ballistas. The issue is that the cannons and ballistas are sitting next to a flag where the enemy main rate spawns. So for you to successfully kill those, your main rate that's defending the castle has to technically go out. If you go out, you lose a main rate fight. Your respawns are longer because your recalls are dying to the cannons, while they are not. Because if you send 20 people, as example, one platoon on a cannon team to hit enemy cannons, they'll kill it instantly because they're not pressured by time. The 2-hour defending time is nothing. I'll say it. It is not that insane of a change. Like, you cannot hit enemy structures while you're defending castle. It's really hard to do that because you have to spend manpower. That means defending castle is strong and is harder. So there would have to be a way for the defending guild to be able to clean cannons / ballista, like, easy, like, make it easier for them. Because and it has always been a thing in BDO, if you want to slowly win, right now the numbers 1 hour, so it's basically impossible. But back when those were 2 hours before the change, there was a way of winning by just sitting with main rate on cannons and getting people to end the stick. And that would win you.
What if that's what the dragon is going to be good at?
Yep.
Like high structure damage. They can't really.
What if it's them? It just like a lot of damage.
The question is, will that be a thing? Do they have? This is all watch. That, like, this is all basically thinking maybe they do that. But the question, do they look at Motherboards that much? Because I remember back in the days there was a meeting with all the top EU guilds. They used to send feedback to CMs or GS, and that feedback was supposed to be sent to the devs. And if I'm correct, nothing with that happened. But that was back in the day. That was back when Node Wars were still 2 hours. It was only construction, etc. I will be real. I am not a believer in Pearl Abyss that much. If I see a change be actually addressed and it's something that the players have asked for, some stuff has been moving with that. Let's see your guys' feedback on the evasion, Chichpedia's feedback. They actually listened to that. That's good, but that's also an easy change. Looking at the entire scale of PvP systems, there is so much to be done that I don't think they would have the manpower currently to address that content, because we will do PvP in the end. It's not like a lot of PvP guilds quit a year ago, but it's not like the content has fully been dead. There has been groups of small people that still did the PvP content, still did occupation, even though it was dead. In the end, players will suck up what's given to them, and they knows about it really well for what they have been doing for the past years. They can give us some stuff, not give us some stuff. In the end, if you're addicted to BDO, you will play it. So it's just about, I don't believe in Pearl Abyss addressing it that fast and like listening to everything, because looking from game dev and game design content, I have worked with players for different games. Listening to the player base only is bad, but not listening to it fully is also bad. You have to find the middle ground, because my opinion will be biased, everybody's opinion will be biased, and in the end, game developers make the game for the players, not for them. What gives you money is not you made the game. What gives you the money is that the players play the game. If the players are unhappy, you will see that in the financial reports, and we have seen that.
Yeah.
I just don't think it will happen in like that short, or I just don't think it will happen. I don't see that.
I want to think in this way, which is why this project, why this podcast was brought to life. I would like to think that by doing these every now and then, ideally every week, but if something happens or there's some other priorities, we just delay it or whatever. We just give them ideas that are easy to make, easy to implement from our experience and how we feel it, because that information from a developer perspective is so valuable that maybe they're missing some point or whatever. If they want to take it, surely. We're not gonna be like full the lighthouse that they have to take or whatever. Just if by any sort of a chance we are some lights in the horizon that they can grab and implement, I will be more than happy. And that's what I want to think, that with the evasion changes, with the utility changes that we mentioned, that they could start making every here and there in Node Wars. If that actually is something that is coming out from what we're doing here, hey, I'm more than up to keep doing this and keep going forward with this. And that's what I think we are trying to do here, and what my mission in here is to like bring you guys to talk about this and see if it gets done. Honestly, that's what I really want to think.
I told that they're listening us a few times, and they're actually listening us. A year ago, we prepared a huge feedback document. They were mostly Q5 related. 30% of the document was PvP related. They almost added everything in that document. My old viewers remember that. And I will just prepare the new feedback. And that feedback came from all around the world. South America, North America, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Asia, MENA, EU, Russia. There was like 400 feedbacks, and we just cleared them, and it was like 250-ish feedback. The current situation right now in the game, the last year, the players just improved the game. I can guarantee. Devs also added more things. They read the feedback, they realized something that we can do it in that way. For example, we mentioned that in that feedback, the one-click changed the gear, and they just announced it. Like, there are lots of things that I can give. I can't remember, but whenever I see something in a game, for example, in the document, we said that let's make the AFK fishing 1 billion at least in a night, and ta-da, it's 1 billion a night, and even more. Depends the situation.
It could be more.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It can be more.
I even just typed in that document, let's make the at least 1.5k mastery, and then more should be able to do 1 billion or a little bit more in AFK fishing at night. And tada, they exactly did the same thing. And there are more things that they just applied from that feedback. They're actually listening us, but from my perspective and an experience about PvP changes, the class balance of PvP content changes, and the class balance part, they are not being that much, eager about to listen what community said. I don't know why they're doing it. Like, class balance, they're just accepting that you guys are testing classes better than us. They just accepted in the latest dev stuff, but they did whatever they want. Like in PvP changes, like PvP related changes, we're just giving lots of feedbacks about Nodeboard, about sieges, iOS, every PvP content in the game. Even like there are no PvP contents in the game, we're just giving them but they're doing whatever they want in their own way, and that's how they work. At least we're trying, and we're having impact. And I'm happy for that. And I also want to do an announcement for it. In the first week of I will also do a big announcement on my Discord, on YouTube, on Twitch every day. I'll do that Discord. Prepare your feedbacks, guys. Take your notes. Type it down, and whenever I ask them from you, send me from Discord especially, because it is working. It can be related to anything, but they can also be like simple things and reasonable things. For example, people asking, this will not be happen in Black Desert Online. People say, I want to see male Dracania or female Sage. There is a reason that gender lock in this game. Let me explain. For example,
Sage would be too much for the game, man.
Sage is a character in the game, in the story, or Dracania, or any class. They are like, Dracania is Dracania. You cannot change Dracania. They're not like simple pattern classes or something. They are characters. Living some things in the lore, in the story of the game. You cannot create female warrior, because warrior is if I'm not wrong, Prince of Kalfen or something, or king, or something like that. It's a man in the story. That's why you cannot change it. So
same with Valkyries.
Yeah, something like that. So they have their own stories behind it, and something like that. Like, don't ask these type of like unreasonable things, nonsense things. But if you ask something, or if you send these things to me, I am sure that if it is doable, PA will do it in next year. And I'm very happy that you guys just send me, and I just lead them to the PA. And I'm really happy that they listened to us in last year. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, like overall,
So
we talked about the general things.
Right. Yeah.
We have two main topics.
Yes.
The one is open world PvP. The other one is hardcore servers. I want to start to talk about the open world PvP. Like, PA had a reasons to remove the Guild War declaration thing, one-side deck thing. At the first weeks or at the first months, it was understandable, because people will start to use that thing, abuse that thing to even for newbies, and just remove that system to prevent that issue. That because the newbies that came from the Lost Ark like 2 years ago in the Land of Morning Light release time, like the toxic people were just abusing and the griefing newbies. Imagine you're a newbie, you're trying to learn the game, but someone is just abusing the system and killing you, and you have nothing to do about that. And Pierre lost Giga population, a Giga newbie part of the game, and they just stopped it. The one-sided deck, they bring the minus karma system, a more penalty in it, and there are some other things. Yes, at first phase it was understandable, but at the second phase they gave an idea to us. They said that we will bring the guild category system, and in that guild category system, if you choose become a PvP oriented guild, you'll be able to do node wars, sieges, you'll be able to do declare war things and other things, PV and different categories. Okay, so I have another suggestion for that to abuse the system. A guild they may want to just go casually PvP, for example, my guild, like they may want to do that, but if PA just allow them to Vordeck on them, or other guilds Vordeck to my guild, for example, then nothing will change. Then someone can just Vordeck to me without any prerequisites and can grief my player, or I can do that to the other player. So nothing will change. If you choose PvP, you have to do PvP. But what if I just want to do Node and Siege instead of griefed by people? That was the reason they removed the system, isn't it? Someone or some group was griefing to the other group without reason because it was game mechanic. So my suggestion...
It was mostly some streamers getting...
Yeah, it happened because of streamers.
Yeah. But there was also behind that, it was pretty common in Sorbina, EUNA maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, people were just searching each other server by server. Like I know that people were grinding with level 61 character because it's not being able to find them on the level lists, the highest level list. People were doing that they did it for over years to not get griefed by someone. They wanted to grind for a few hours to increase the progress, then they can be able to do PvP. Never mind, it was just these are the main reasons. And I want to see that the war deck come back to the game. I want to see the spice on the open world, but there has to be penalty to do that. I want to see a karma system in guilds, and you can just earn that karma system with node war and sieges and some PvP contests, maybe Guild League. Like whenever you attend a node war, whenever you reach some level of when you kill few people, when you node like attendance reward, or when you just participant reward or winner reward, it's not important. You will gain karma. Whenever you ward the deck to a guild, every day you will lose karma. And for example, in 3 days, if you keep that fight, this will be your penalty. This will be your debt. If your karma goes minus, your entire guild will be minus karma, no matter what they do. So this will prevent the system. You will be able to just Vordeck to someone. Okay, you can just keep that 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, but at the end of the day, at the end of 3 days, for example, or a week, your guild will be minus karma. Like, not your karma. Because of your guild, game will punish you. You're in that guild is bullying people. You will just become enemy of the entire server if you stay on that guild. So this will prevent the abusing the system. Or you can do this in a different way. Instead of karma, instead of that minus karma thing can be giga punish. Instead of that, let's just war costs. Bring a war cost. When you war deck to someone, one-sided war deck, you will just pay every day, for example, 5 billion or 6 billion or 10 billion from your guild storage. And for example, some guy is just that because of the personal things, he war decked for 2 days. After 2 days, people will start to talk about, hey, every day we do node wars, we're making that money. And at the end of the day, we have no money in the guild storage. Where's my payout? Or why do I have to just do node wars or sieges? Because of that person's personal issue. Please take that war deck back, take it off, and let's move on. So there's some kind of penalty system that people cannot abuse that thing. Then they can bring that PvP category thing, because if they bring that PvP category thing that they mentioned, it still will be abusable.
It doesn't work. I'll say it won't work. The category they wanted to bring, it doesn't work, because that means every single guild that wants to participate in PvP, no matter what it is, has to name themselves a PvP guild, and that makes it so they automatically get war decked, like you're able to war deck them. That means that if a guild is just starting to PvP, That means they can get war decked by the top guilds and get bullied out of the seed. It's bad. The thing you brought about guild-specific karma, like if the guild has a karma or the guild pays money to keep a war deck alive, you only gain money from a node war in the guild storage if you win it. So that would basically, with the money system, that would only work if you win a node war. That's when the war deck is sustainable, which makes it kind of hard to sustain it in itself. It doesn't like the bullies can't bully because they won't have enough, let's say, fuel left in the oven, like to keep the fire alive. But my proposition in the beginning of the stream was to make it that if you place on uncapped nodes, the old war deck system applies. That removes the idea of sniping, because then guilds that are small and players cannot snipe, because if they place, even though if they will be locked out with the current system, they can still get war decked on. And let's say it works on a weekly, actually week is too much. Let's say it works on a 3 to 4 day basis. If you placed in 3 days, if you placed on an uncapped node and you actually went to the node war, that the stick actually loaded in, not that you placed and then took it off and went to a different content, like a different cap node war. That doesn't make sense. If the stick actually loaded in, you could technically participate in the node war. You're able to be declared war on. For EU, it works, and we have a lot of uncapped guilds. And if the reward for uncapped content would be a lot, that would make guilds want to participate in the uncapped content. So by doing that, guilds would need to get good, funnily enough. T1 guilds would basically get their gear and want to participate on. Of course, there will be stronger and weaker guilds in uncapped scenarios. That is a given in any video game. If somebody's getting mad because a guild is stronger than them, then go to lower types of node wars, get better in those that become really good at those, and then try again. There's no issue in losing. Losing is not a problem. And for uncapped war declarations, I agree. If you're in a top guild and if you're just starting, and if you now, like, let's say you graduated from tier 1, you want to move up, you're trying uncapped content, you place, you go, you get locked out because, for example, there's a deal already there, and now they can war deck you. If they want to be annoying rats, they can war deck you, and now Zergy out, and you just don't get to play the game grind for 3 days. Looks bad, but that's purely because people want the node war buff. PvE guilds that are not geared enough could still do the content on, let's say, tier 3, tier 4, tier 2, tier 1. The winning side, if you will know, the reward would not be as much, but that also gives the uncapped guild a reason to go uncapped. Because it is more rewarding. You win an uncapped fight, it's harder, but it's also more rewarding. That makes sense. And the reward would be that you can declare on uncapped guilds. That alleviates the issue of not having open world PvP. Guild rivalries would come back then, because you can fight open world. It is easy. And let's remind you, the guild protection system was in the game. You could declare 3 to 4 people per guild to be protected, and even if a war is up, they cannot be attacked, they can only be outseed upon. So a person will have to go red karma to basically fight them, which would protect the grinders. If, let's say, I am in an uncapped guild, I want to go grind, even though, let's say, we have a war against another uncapped guild, my guild leader or an officer could cast protection on me, and until that protection is not changed, they have to alt-C on me to kill me. It works. Like, it would work. The problem was, and always was, with the one-sided declaration, that it could be abused with bullying. I know the biggest change, it happened because streamers got bullied by communities. I do still think that the karma system is in a really bad state, and it is basically dead. Like, red guilds are gone, because now it's family-wide, if I remember correctly. So if you go red on one character, all the other characters are also red. It's an old system that needs to be changed. It's a toxic system. I remember back in BDO days, you had Laven, which used to be an awakening ninja, used to be a red player ninja. His videos were the reason why I wanted to play BDO in the first place. Like, ganking people, but not toxic grind and not toxic ganking. Like, you didn't want a guy to just go, like, make him rage out and just be mad at you. he used to gank streamers just for fun, and he killed them once. If they wanted to fight, they fought. If they didn't, he went away. Stuff like that. The one-sided declaration is needed for this game if they want to keep open world a thing. You can always also, another thing, if it's alive, they also added the Marnie's realms for that reason, to not be ganked. Remember, Marnie realm now recharges once every hour. It used to be only 1 hour per day. So if they add Marnie realm to more spots, then it makes like one-sided war declarations are even more of a thing that should be brought back then. You can't make it, if I'm a PvP guild, I say I'm a PvP guild because I want to participate in Node Wars, and then I can be instantly war decked on, because that means that only the top PvP guilds will be considered PvP guilds, like in the category, what they wanted to bring through the ball, like what they announced all the and by the MMR system. It doesn't work. Members change in guilds. A guild can be strong for a month, loses, let's say, 10 to 20 players because they quit the game, job, IRL, stuff like that, or for example, there was drama in the guild, they leave. If that guild is still top MMR, they won't be at the same strength they were back then, so that they will just drop a lot, and it will just won't be fun, because they will, for example, let's say the top guild is 2.5k MMR. Top 2 guild is also 2.5k. That top guild now loses 20 of their best players. Of course, they're not on the same spot. Like, they will now start losing a lot, but they can still be declared by the other top PvP guild, and they can be bullied out of that spot. It just doesn't work. My proposition is make it so uncapped guilds can declare uncapped guilds one-sidedly, and make it so people want to participate in uncapped content in the end. Because in the EU BP scene history, there were guilds that only did capped content when it came out. You had Control that did capped a long time. Like, Control was on T1s ever since I started playing. Like, they used to always be on Tier 1. There were guilds that only did T1 content. And that shouldn't be a thing. You should be not forced, but you should be encouraged to do uncapped content. That should be the end game PvP scene. And not just sitting in Tier 1 and basically have... Like, if you want to do it, sure. But the reward is already not as big as uncapped. But you should be, like, encouraged to play uncapped or higher capped content. That needs to be a thing in the PvP scene.
Yeah. What do you think, Archive?
I agree on some points. On other points, like you say, like I know. I was talking about this with a friend yesterday. MMR system on a guild is kind of finicky because players change. You said it yourself. At the same time, MMR is something that, like, if the guild is active in the PvP, that MMR will just self-adjust over time. Hopefully, in a short period of time, it just self-adjusts. And as far as like categorization of PvP guilds decking each other, if you have an MMR system tied to it, you can just make it so guilds within a certain MMR range can deck each other.
Yeah.
And then, if players change, if the guild changes because of management, shot calling, members, MMR self-adjusts. Like, it's the same in any kind of... It's even in Guild League. I mean, you already have a guild elo system in Guild League. It's not that great of a system, but it works. If players leave and the guild gets weaker, they will just drop.
Yeah. So, like, in the other problem in open world, Arsha, nobody wants to stay in Arsha. It's because it's not rewarding as a PV. Like, while you're doing PV, what is the reason of Arsha? Open world PvP. No karma, no issue, other things. Random and organic PvP. It needs to be coverage the organic PvP. But the gap between PvP gear and the PV gear is too big. Too much stat difference. Because of that, people don't want to bother themselves, Maybe, they mentioned the one-click change. That the one-click change make the Arsha great again. I would love to grant it Arsha. A random PvP appears. Then one-click change my entire setup into PvP. Then I can fight with the guy. That would be nice. But right now, Arsha is that because nobody wants to just there for like 50% RNG drop rate. Like, it's also not trash loot increase or something, just an RNG. It's not a big... It was big deal in before, but right now it is not.
It's hard topic because the issue, let's say I grind on Arsha a lot. And the one thing that's why I grind on my tagged character, because the one thing I don't mind me being on PV gear, you're killing me, but then people usually run away. What I mind is if I have Agris coin, Glorious Battlefield loot scroll, like if I have the drop rate buffs online, I get mad because then I die, have to respawn again, and I'm wasting time on those, right? And if they, let's say they make a system that you can instantly change gear to PvP, those buffs will probably still be running, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing it on one character. So you're wasting those buffs. So then why should you be Arsha? You just usually just pop them on normal servers and you don't have that issue. In the end, I want Arsha to be what it is currently. Grinding on it is annoying because you get ganked, etc. But there should be a reward for grinding on Arsha. It's only 50% drop rate, which with the amount of, let's say, drop buffs we get, the amount of drop loot scrolls we get, if you win Siege, you get Glorious Battlefield scrolls, it's 100% drop rate. You're always capped on drop rate. Like, the good thing about Arsha drop is it goes above the caps. So basically 370% instead of 320%. That's the good part. However, it's a topic because back before, grinding on Arsha was technically a privilege, because if somebody ganks you, the guy slows the PvP, then your guildmate comes, then another person comes, and you have I don't know if Archive you were there, but in like 2 days ago, or I think it was 3 days ago, we had a big because Archive is also an uncapped guild that I usually fight in Node Wars and stuff, Demise on you. We had a big Arsha fight. Like, it was a platoon versus a platoon. We had 20v20, and that started because somebody ganked one person. And I love that sort of stuff. And that used to be a thing with the one-man war deck on. Like, back in the days, you used to have, I know on you, it was sorry, not on you, on a name, it was a big thing. You had Nation versus Barcode Digital. Like, the top guilds used to have permanent war declarations on themselves, and they used to be like 3 to 4 platoons full of people just duking it out on Elvia orcs. Like, it was amazing for the PvP scene. And on Arsha, sometimes it happens, but I still think that Arsha right now, as it looks, for a streamer like you, it will be annoying, because if you go there and stream and grind, if a guy wants to be funny, he will watch your stream. Oh, if you're grinding Baron Arsha, I'll go gank him. If he swaps, I'll run away, and that will make you mad. I understand. As a streamer, it is harder for you to grind on Arsha because people want to be in the spotlight. They want to gank you. They want to make you mad. Want to see your reaction. As a streamer, I don't know what the fix to that honestly is, because it's just like, it's in the end, you are a streamer, right? Like, if you go on Arsha, people will want to gank you because they want to be pieces of shit, they want to be toxic, want to get your reaction. And that happened back in the day with the war decks on. That's like, you had Blue Squadron getting bullied. You had all the Korean guys. I know Cannon was a big person that was getting ganked a lot, even on normal servers. That's why the war decoration servers got a big of attraction, because streamers were getting hard bullied, but also behind the scene, what wasn't being talked about a lot was the small guilds being bullied. I think Arsha should stay as it is. For streamers, I don't know what the option to do it is. Maybe if you, let's say, if you're grinding, they make the system that you can instantly swap to PvP gear. And if your buffs get saved or paused, that would be the best possible scenario. Because let's say I'm a streamer, I'm grinding, a guy comes in and ganks me, kills me once, sure, I lose a draught and a perfume, but then I spawn, I can pause my buffs, swap to PvP gear, and go and fight him if the guy wants to go and fight, right?
Just make every single buff work on a gauge like loot scrolls.
Exactly, like loot scroll.
Yeah.
And actually, that fixed the loot scroll problem, because back in the day, like, loot scrolls used to be a timer, and if you popped a loot scroll, you got ganked. You would be mad a lot, because loot scrolls were and are still, even though I sit on like 1.8k, loot scrolls were back in the day and still taking care for some people like a hard thing to get. So just make every buff work on a gauge. Like, just make a UI. They did it with currency. Why can't they do it with buffs? Like, if, let's say, I want to run demi-human drops, I have a tank or like a buff bar that I can fill 10 hours of demi-human drop, and I can pop it whenever I want. Same with Kama Sylvia drop, same with human drop. Like, just make a managed currency tab, but for buffs. If I want to, let's say, if I want to grind an hour, I can pop a 10th buff for an hour. Like, I can pop it off and then off. That would just make sense in the long run. That doesn't make players get mad because they were wasting their buffs on Arsha because they get ganked. Same with the streamers. Like, in the end, I want Arsha to be what it is. Like, it should be all the time PvP allowed, and that shouldn't change.
I agree. Like, that's pretty much what it should be. Same with the gear presets. Like, instantly swapping presets would definitely facilitate PvP on Arsha. Would encourage it. well, it wouldn't encourage it, but it would make it so people can be ready to fight back instead of just giving up on it. And same for the buffs. If you just make every single buff and consumable work on a gauge, and then you can just add those gauges to continuous care. Or is it continuous care the name of the skill?
Yeah, just continuous care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
continuous care on the fairy. You can then just swap the buffs you need on demand whenever you need, and then
Or
you can
maybe-
also
Yeah, please.
you can also use this system to solve the problem of consumables in like PvP game modes. If you want them to be less expensive, you can just make people have their own presets of consumables that the game just gives you without having to actually use them.
Yeah.
But
Or
that's
maybe,
that's
here is the thing.
Hmm?
Let's make the mobs in Arsha special. They will not affected by many other things, like consumables and other things. You only just activate your loot scroll. If you want to do PvP, you will ready be to do PvP with your PvP setups, PvP buffs, add-ons, and all other things. I don't know if it is just like, it will be very hard to optimize it, but if they just make the mobs in Arsha optimized for PvP setup, then you always be ready to do PvP. And also increase the drop rates and all other things. When someone is just wanted to fight with you, you turn off your loot scroll, directly attack, or he attacks, or you do your PvP. I don't know, something like. We're trying to find simple solutions.
It would take too long, I think, for them to optimize every single
Yeah.
grind spot for a PvP setup. It would take kind of too long. Funnily enough, if we think about the gauge system like the loot scroll is,
Yeah.
I thought about, okay, but that will kill Immortal Perfumes. No, it wouldn't, because let's say Immortal Perfume now gets changed, that instead of adding 20 minutes to the gauge, it adds 60 minutes to the gauge. That would make it so it's important. Like stuff like that. Like those are changes that those systems are in the game. For programmers, it wouldn't be that hard to make it a possibility. And it would also fix a lot of, let's say, just marketplace stuff as well. Because if you're a PvPer, you have 10 hours of a gauge, let's say, of perfume, or not even 10 hours. Let's say you can only fill it up for like 3 hours. Then you would buy, 20 minutes free. It's about like 18 perfumes, and you buy 18 perfumes, and you have 3 hours of perfume, of AP perfume that you can use, and you can turn it on and off whenever you want. And you will use it in like a week or even longer. You can even, for example, make perfumes more expensive, because we spend on node rebuffs so much because we die in node wars, and a perfume is 20 minutes. It's rare for one player to not die 20 minutes, except a Shy, but Shys also do die. And then it's worth its money, basically. Like we die every, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes, and we have to pop a 20-minute buff again. That's what makes it that expensive. So making it a gauge like it is with the loot scrolls would just fix that issue. It will completely fix it, and I don't see a
Well, it's a
reason
good
to
fix.
Yes, exactly.
as far as like, even if they want to only add like stat consumables to this gauge system, another way to make simply drop rate good on Arsha, regardless of whether you're in PvP or PvE, and make you not waste time, is just set the drop rate at 400% static, not affected by any loot scroll, like it is on, I don't know, Secret Upper.
Might be Arsha specific.
Honestly, that would kind of diminish castles, because you still want the castle drop rate to affect it. Like, one thing maybe is actually in the end solidifying drop rate, that let's say if the trash loot on level 2 loot scroll and aggro stays, but if I want to have more drop rate, instead of me having to pop a 50 million buff from my tent, I can, for example, crank up the loot scroll to, let's say, level 4, and that gives me more drop rate, like drop chance, not trash loot, not more trash loot. And let's say if maybe I am using Glorious Battlefield, etc., those scrolls, they're like 50% old moon scrolls, I can just add them to my gauge, and they just give me more time. Because let's say instead of 2 seconds, like the level 2 scroll does, it would, let's say, eat 4 seconds, or 8 seconds, or 10 seconds. It would make it so I can grind on, on the event stuff a lot. Yeah, sure, that would buff, I saw called the Neosis type pay to win. That would buff pay to win a lot, because you would run out of loot scrolls way faster. But at the same time, what's stopping them from giving you more ways to gain loot scrolls? Like, I am sitting on like 50% scrolls, and half of the time I don't use them because there's a 50% drop rate event going on.
Yeah.
Like, why should I have them when I have an event going on? Like stuff like that. Like it's just solidified into one instead of giving us so many scrolls, like 100%, 50%, 20%, a 10-hour, 20% elixir that is still there. If you grind on one character, you feel bad about the elixir because you're PvPing on the same character. So if you're doing a siege, 4 hours of that 10 hours is gone. If the siege takes full 4 hours, like it just, I don't know, like there are methods to fix that sort of stuff, and that would fix Arsha a lot as well. Like they have a chance to actually make PvP inclusive, because it has always been a really hard thing to get into. In this game has always been considered the end game content because of how hard it was to get into, because it's veteran players, veteran guilds still being alive, you joining a new guild, hey, I want to make a guild with my 20 friends from other video game and I want to start PvP. You go T1 is okay, even though there are still veteran guilds sitting in T1 and probably beating you. There are veteran guilds sitting in Cup content and beating you, and then you go on to Uncapped, which is the deepest water in the PvP scene, and you get completely curb stomped by top 1, top 2, top 3 guilds because you weren't in the diplomacy, so you placed there and then you're dead. There is a way to make people want to do PvP. It's just you have to find the way to do it, and there are multiple ways. They just have to decide on it, because right now PvP is exclusive, and it's a bad thing, because as we've seen with Occupation being added into the game in last year, on EU, top 6 out of the top 10 guilds died because they disappeared. And it's not the issue of that, is that sure, a guild will die, some players will stay, but it's the community going away. Guilds are alive because of big communities having fun in those guilds. And if the leader of that community decides to dip from that guild, like close the guild, sure, some people will go to the other guild, but a lot of them will be like, okay, so, hey, what are you going to do next? What game are you planning to play? That's why I left. Like, my guild left BDO, so I went to From Liberty with them. And a lot of that stuff happened with a lot of players from those guilds. They were like, yeah, I'm going to try TNL. So you make a guild there, and the community goes there. And it's like 50 to 60 players gone. That's the issue. Like,
yeah.
And another thing I would want to say is, if we could potentially, it's a lot, if we could have a confirmed, and I'm talking about confirmed because this happened before, feedback to the, let's say, PvP people responsible for PvP in Pearl Abyss. If they want to talk to the top, not even top guilds, take every guild's opinion on PvP. And if we would get confirmation that they have not read it, but it has been sent to them, like a sort of voice to them, would be insanely good. I know you guys are trying it right now, and that some fun things have worked, but I am only one person, Quender only one person, Hygaa only one person, we're only 4 people here. He is played by hundreds of players from different sort of difficulty, different sort of veteran, like different sort of level. If there would be a way for every single player to voice their opinion, I know forums exist, but they are not reading forums, and you can't tell me that forums are being read a lot, because there have been posts about stuff that are sitting dead there. And yeah, we take that in consideration. And like, just having a voice heard back, a confirmation back, would be insane. Because PvP players are really vocal in this game. We're the most vocal community. There's not a lot of us, but we're the most vocal. If something goes bad in BDO PvP, you already know, either, funnily enough, CJ or another person makes a forum post and it gains traction. Like, we are vocal as hell. So may that voice be actually heard from the PvP scene. Not saying to instantly do what we want, but give us confirmation that, yeah, we have either read it, seen it, and we will see what we do with that sort of feedback. Because I know from veteran players that have quit the game that the biggest reason that they have left, instead of course, IRL stuff like that, because the changes or like the propositions they said, there wasn't a voice back. Even saying, no, we won't do it for a reason, or just saying, no, we won't do it. Like, they just make forum posts, and that forum post sits there, gets 100+ likes, and it just sits there. There's nothing done with it from the PvP side. It's just about being transparent with your community. That's like the biggest thing they could do, in my opinion.
Okay, so another topic. If you guys have no,
Yeah.
okay, we have something to say.
Yeah, we can go on.
The last topic of today is hardcore servers. I mean, overall, I like the idea. there's only one thing. Probably everyone's hated this situation. They limited classes, only 4 classes. I know it was a pilot server, pilot's content. It wasn't the actual content. They wanted to try. They wanted to see that's how they can just manage it, how they can handle it. But in the actual hardcore server thing, I would love to see that we can play whatever we want. I don't want to play just, for example, 4 classes. That's the only negative thing that I only played like maybe how many we have, like it's like 40 days, for example. Maybe I played maybe 10 days. That's all. People just played it, but only limited people, and we didn't have fun. Choice had fun, for example, because he was the Berserker main. Or BP had fun because the Warrior main. Or what about the others? What about these 90% of the game? We didn't have fun. And rewards were juicy, by the way. Even the juicy rewards, even the juicy rewards, I didn't want to go there. We said that, I said it, and I'm every day saying that thing. PA should stop this policy. Force people to do what they want, like what PA want. Don't force me. Give me different variations or different opportunities. Let me do whatever I want. It's a basic psychology. If you think that, or if you allow the guy think, hey, I'm doing it by my own. I have my own choices. This is my way. Then he will feel safe and he will play your game. But like that content was dead on arrival. If you compare that the big portion of the game, they didn't touch it. But the content, the idea is amazing. That's my take about hardcore.
Yes.
My personal take, I cannot, from my personal point of view, I cannot talk too much about the game mode because I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna double up on your point here. I didn't even touch the game mode at all because the fact I cannot play my class, and that just makes it, from my perspective, very unfun. And it should have been postponed, the full project, till they made sure that every class could be played on the game mode. That's my opinion. But I've been talking to a lot of players that, at least here in EU, I won't say their names because they don't want to be mentioned. I've gathered some of the information that they've come up with after their experience on the hardcore server. I have a list of them, so I don't know if you prefer to get this list and be given to you, Quendia, or I can read it in here. It's not that long.
They can create topic on forum website. I can say that even GM team, they deliver the feedbacks in forums. I guarantee you, like, they're doing it. But the thing is, if our devs read it and apply it in the game, that's the problem. Like I said, the quality of life and other things in the game, similar things, they listen what we say, but the PvP contents, PvP related contents, or class balancing, they're not that much eager to listen what we say, or what we just, send feedback to them.
I send it to you just in case you wanna show it somehow in the stream.
Okay, I'll just see it.
The issue is with the hardcore server, I also did not play it, so take my opinion as with a bit of a pinch of salt, because I did not play the content, but all my friends did that play BDO. I heard it from, let's say, Zero support maker, another streamer, so he talked about it a lot. The idea of it only being 4 classes is really bad. Like, the mains will have so much fun, but the people that have played the class will have a miserable time. The rewards for the season hardcore server was, I think, 3.5 billion a day, which was good. But if they allow OP classes, people will play Photon because it's technically the strongest class. It's also easy to learn. People will just play Photon. That's why there were so many Zerkers on the hardcore servers, because it was the easiest class out of all 4 to get into. So people just played Zerker, grinded what they needed to, and just left. It's also about balancing. Just if they make the hardware server in its idea and form looks really fun, I would love to play it. Like, the idea is cool. I saw some of the issues. I think there was a popular clip of either Choice or by Septimus having so many points that being forced into the arena that he has to kill a player, but the player has little points, so he lost points by killing the dude, and he couldn't do anything else by killing the guy.
Yeah.
As a game developer, that's just a lack of testing the game mode. And there was something I think you said that about testing. And in game development and in testing, there's a sentence called that you cannot have 100% testing if you're making a game. The biggest test that is done in a video game is by the players. That is where the most amount of issues, bugs, etc. are played, because the sheer amount of players playing the game. Like if I'm testing a game, I will find glaring issues, I will find some specific issues, but a lot of the cases of issues will be found by players, like what you guys did with the evasion role change. That is an issue that they probably was maybe found by them, but it was in a low-level priority, but you guys brought it to light that, hey, it's a glaring change for this type of content, and they were like, okay, we revisited it, they were right, we changed it. Same goes with classes. Game balancing is purely seen in the statistics. Right now, Awakening Sage is overtuned. Succession Hash is close second. Suck Hash doesn't need a CC to kill you. It will just kill you standing. Like, same with Sage. Sage kills you off 1 CC. Succession Zerker, you can play 6 DR crystals, which are 1 billion each, and you are an unkillable thing that can double grab you, and it's just a utility-based class like Shy is, but Shy gives you buffs. But that class will 100% either A, burn a V, 2, will get you killed, because that's the Guild League meta. The Guild League meta right now is you play vacuums to counter Nova, but that's why Nova is already dead. But that's why Nova was a bit weaker in Guild League, especially on EU. The top 2 guild found out a way to deal with the top 1 guild strategy by playing vacuums. And that's why all of them swapped to Sage, because Sage can also be shut down on Guild League if it's 1 Sage. But if, let's say, you're in Sovereign, which
If it's 3
I'll say
four,
just
yeah.
they play 4 Sage comps.
Yeah.
If they would play a lot together, you can shut down 1 Sage, but that doesn't mean shit, because there's 3 more Sages can one-shotting you. It doesn't make sense. That's why Sage is so OP as a class, and in Guild League, because if you put more of them as DPS, shutting down 1 doesn't make sense, because there's 3 more, and they will just kill your team. There are metas that have to be addressed in this game, which have always been poor at addressing. Awakening Dracania was overpowered for almost a year. Not because the idea of the class itself was OP, just because if you give a class healing, if you give that class a desync movement that can engage you from render distance and annihilate you, if you give a class that can play tank setup and kill you because it has a reset combo, that class is automatically overpowered. That was the issue with Nova. Nova in itself, when it came out, that was when Sage actually came out. Those classes were right next to each other, because Sage came out with Elvia release when came out, and Nova was also there then. Nova, when it released, it could farm Axel, so it's 20, so it's full that it's permanently stay. It could farm Axel by purely existing. I remember back then there was a rotation that you could do with skills, and it would get Axel every single engage. And that was also the time when people had 301 AP was a lot. There were Novas only running with 330 AP, the first Pendebo owners. They were playing Nova, and it could just one-shot you, because if you had 360 DP, 370 DP, those classes one-shot you. The issue with Nova right now, that's why it got nerfed, was because of its movement and its pressure that it can do. The amount of pressure a Nova can do on Axel is insane. It's fully SA, it is so fast, the only counter is a vacuum. But only recently Awakening Mystic became online. Valkyrie got nerfed into oblivion. If Shift LMB doesn't bug heal 60%, the class is dead. I'm sorry to say it. Valk is a dead class. No, in the PvP meta, there was a Valk meta. It's gone. Nova, right now,
you guys still play 2 Valks, no?
Yeah, we do. But that is because the players don't want to leave the class.
Okay.
And the thing is, Valkyrie is, funnily enough, a weaker Awakening Mystic in Guild. It just is weaker, the pattern. If you have Awakening Mystic, that class right now came back, and it is so strong. The class is so unbelievably strong. People who don't play Guild League on a high-end level may not realize it, but Awakening Mystic is way more of a problem than Awakening Striker, funnily enough. Awakening Mystic is way bigger of a problem because of the vacuum. Sage doesn't care, because you just iframe twice and you're out of it. But all the other classes have to watch out for that vacuum. The meta has to shift. Meta will always be in an MMO, the same as it is in Throne Liberty. Right now, the meta in Throne Liberty is the worst it has been. It's full tank meta. It's always, but you shouldn't create classes that are unplayable because another class has been brought back to the light and is being played at. Like, look at, for example, back in the day, Awakening Tamer could not be played. It got killed. Succession Tamer as well. What other? Awakening Mystic was for a long ass while dead because it was just bad, but now it got buffed and it came back really strong.
Yep.
You should make classes that can be played everywhere, and that ties into hardcore servers. You won't have every player play Succession Zerker because it's the easiest class to get from the 4 classes mentioned. It's hard. If you create a meta where every class can be played on a certain level, hardcore servers with all classes make sense. Because sure, let's say Succession Sage, which is the worst class to 1v1 in, except Shy, can be played on hardcore servers. Like, sure, it won't be the craziest because Awakening Warrior will just grab you, but if it can be played to a certain level, you can do some sort of content, then people will play it. Same with other classes. They should be played on hardcore servers, and the meta should allow those classes to exist. You can't make 5 classes be gold tier while the other falls that short. It's not fun. And it has always been a thing in the MMORPGs that something is 40% or 50% stronger than the other thing. And it's just on PS balancing team sure, you will if you make a new class. Sorry to say it, the new classes release broken because new outfits, inventory space. You release broken classes, and I know this from working in game development myself. Companies release new classes to be broken because you will buy an outfit. There will be an event for the outfit. You will buy inventory slots. You will buy weight. You will spend money on that class so you can play it. And that's the sad fact about releasing classes in a video game. Like, let's say, BDO. League of Legends does the same thing. Release it with a skin, you buy the skin because the character is overpowered, then you nerf it, and yeah, that's the story. Same goes with BDO. Every single class release, the classes were mostly OP, and if they weren't OP, funnily enough, Awakening Dracania on EU, the class released really strong, but nobody knew how to play it. So it got buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed. It was like 5 patches of buffs, and then people realized, wait, this class is OP. So they just play it, and that's how the meta gets created. It will be a thing. You will Paralabis will not release classes weak. They will only be looked at weak because players have not learned how to play it correctly. That's why a class is portrayed weak in the beginning. But classes will always be released strong for players to spend money on the given class. When it comes to hardcore servers, as I said, make a meta where most of the classes can be played on a hardcore server. That you don't feel bad. That let's say you're an Archer main and you know that you have a 0% chance to play hardcore servers because it's plagued by Suckzerkers. Every single Glab class, Awakening Striker, also an easy class to get in, funnily enough. People will just pick those 2 classes or whatever is meta, and that will be the hardcore server. You will see Strikers, Mystic, Succession Zerker, and Awakening Sage and Suckhash if they don't nerf them by then. That's the issue for them, and I understand why they didn't release the hardcore servers with all classes in mind because of the meta. But it's their own doing that the hardcore servers were not received that well by players because they don't want to address the meta that is needed to be addressed. They are afraid of making these changes. If a class is bad for a week, or let's say 2 weeks, they will live being bad for 2 weeks. It's just time. But if you actually address it in that time, you see the statistics on a given class. Let's say Awakening Dracania is unplayable right now. If they would address that, yeah, Awakening Drac is unplayable, we need to do something about it, what they could do, then nobody would have an issue of class balance. It's such a big topic in BDO because it is so rarely done. And if it is done, it's usually created even more overpowered metas. That's the issue. And that's the issue why hardcore server was only 4 classes, honestly.
I mean, balance issues are, like, balance between classes are always an issue in BDO, no matter what.
Yes.
But like by introducing only few classes in the season servers, they're not really fixing the balance issues because you still have them in the entire rest of the game. You're just introducing a new issue. You're just introducing a new issue altogether, which is like on average 10-15% of the player base is going to enjoy every hardcore season at a time because they main one of those classes, and everyone else is not going to have a fun time. Meanwhile, the rest of the game is still plagued by balance issues.
Yep. I mean, there will never be a perfect MMO perfectly balanced, because if you start doing that, then classes will become one-dimensional, and there will be no variety, because everybody has an answer for everything. Which
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
just
You,
gets
you need a meta.
boring.
You need a meta to keep things interesting, to like change things up periodically, but it doesn't have to be an oppressive meta.
Exactly.
There
It
has
can
to
be
be
a meta.
there has to be always counterplay.
Yeah, I mean, there can't be a class that does everything. It
Yeah.
cannot be. It just doesn't make sense.
Only thing I want to say regarding hardcore servers, there will be a post most likely on the forums for feedback so that CMs can get it from there. I want to just say the overall picture of what these players, top players of hardcore, have been telling me is that actually the game mode in itself has the potential to be very fun. Like the potential is in there, but all these things that we are mentioning specifically regarding the only 4 characters being able to play, all that is just kind of deterring everyone for actually noticing that the game mode can be fun. I just want to mention the 5 main bullet points that they've mentioned that they should change, like regarding the game mode in itself. Like if we just make obvious the character part, the griefing and abuse, like the players that use the water zones or penalty areas for avoiding the death after initiating fights, because they consider it an exploit of the system in itself. It just kills the PvP. It just contradicts the the nature of the game mode. The flagging system, like the outseat timer, they think is short and it should persist until one player dies or reaches the safe zone to prevent this abuse. The teaming up, there's a big issue because there's teams fighting players, which makes it unfair, and they should implement a way to restrict the limitation and punish harshly the people that are going by groups. Actually, funnily enough, which is something that actually is a little bit contradictory, like if you release a hardcore server, there's a lack of PvP incentive within the game mode, because by PvPing you're under rewarded. We saw the choice clip that you mentioned that
Yep.
actually people just want to kill someone and they're losing points, and like they don't reward it at all compared to, like, you're just incentivized to go on PvE to actually do good in the hardcore server. So that has to be given a round. Suggestions to fix this, like include points, like for incentivize the PvP by giving it points, PvE buffs or PvP kills, maybe gear trash loot drop chances, bounty systems. I don't know, something can be worked up on that. And the frustration and the exploits that this generates, like end of season, the point feeding, like at the end of the season, apparently there were people that were just feeding points. It just ruined the competition for some of these players that have been enjoying the hardcore server. It should really be looked up, because the game mode in itself has potential, but the players in itself have way of making it unfun. It's just the players in itself. Maybe it's just that video is just a toxic community. It is what it is. But in a developer mindset, there should be ways to address all the points that I've just mentioned.
Of course, I mean, it's a system that can be fixed. The thing you said about the incentive, what I realized from a lot of my friends as well, they just logged in, did the daily for 3.5 billion, just logged out.
Yeah.
The reason to PP. Like, honest.
That's all what I heard from the hardcore server.
Yeah.
You log in, like, even, I'm gonna say his name, Chris Polly released a video. Just log in for 15 minutes and you get 1 billion and you're done. People are gonna do that, of course.
Exactly.
I didn't, because I thought to myself that would ruin my moral if I still have some. But
I didn't play the
like-
game then, so I would do it. Let's be honest. Who wouldn't do it? If it's up 1 billion and 50 minutes, yeah, you just do it just for that.
The common thing that
I don't know.
everyone thinks in hardcore servers, like they're, tiny things that they need to adjust, but everyone thinks probably the same, like class limitation, forcing people to play few classes. People say that, Archive also said that the class balance is not a perfect in the game or close to perfect. But this is also a good way to take some notes or, records. They can just check which is the top 20 class, which is the top 10 class, top 5 class. And they can just, point the situation that, hey, Succession Berserker played a lot in 30 different classes. Why? Because of that. So they can just understand that no matter what level of the game, this class is broken. No matter what level of the game, for example, Awakened Striker is broken, something like that. They can understand the situation of the game class balance, and they can just, you know, maybe nerf them properly. It can help them. I know it can be a little bit disgusting for people. For example, you guys said that like Shy is bad on 1v1 or Sage is bad on 1v1, but it is same for the open world too. So if someone wants to stay on Sage in a hardcore, then it's the same scenario. In open world, if you do PvP, Sage is bad, only large scale. This is some kind of small scale content, hardcore server, and you can only grind there, or you can maybe choose some other classes. But it's like, I know it's double-edged sword, yeah. Like,
I mean, not going back to what I said, not every class should be good at everything, and there should be, like, let's say, Shy won't do hardcore because it's a Shy. Like, that should be a thing. Like, you cannot let everything do everything, because then it's bland. Like, if every class can 1v1, then it will make balancing a nightmare, and it will make every class look and feel the same. Like, class variety comes in from being able to do one content better than the other. That is why classes, let's say Archer, back before I quit, was crazy in large scale. People used to get 400 kills per siege because it was crazy on siege. But in small scale 1v1s, you couldn't play the goddamn class. And that makes the class's identity for what it is. And that should also be a thing with hardcore servers. Allow every class to be pickable, but understand that, let's say, if I'm a Sage player or a Shy player, if I pick it on hardcore, I will probably have a bad time, and I will most likely have a bad time.
Yeah.
Thing is about toxic meta, and BDO has always been a thing. If you're a meta player, you will tag a meta class, it gets nerfed, you'll realize that, hey, this is still good, so you'll go to that class. Instead of nerfing the top classes like to the ground, like what they did with Jakanya, what they did with, let's think, Succession Megu, Awakening Megu is still strong, but Suck Megu, think what makes them strong while they're good in every sort of scenario, address some of that, not make the class completely unplayable, leave the class's identity to exist, and instead of making
it
a
like
toxic
Nova.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but Nova, from design point of view, was a badly designed class because the class was strong because of its way of being fully protected for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And being able to desync like crazy. It was just a poorly designed class. But that is the issue. Look at, instead of making a meta that if something that's OP gets nerfed, you go to the other thing. Let's say Awakening Drakanya got nerfed, we went to Awakening Mego. Awakening Mego gets nerfed, we go to Awakening Nova gets nerfed, we go to Awakening Sage.
But that's just gonna happen always, right? People just want to go with the best class, right? Like, you're just gonna have this group of people that are always gonna go with the best class in
Of
each
course,
cycle, right?
but the idea is to make a bigger choice. If you're a meta player, if there's only one choice you can do, that means that the class is superior to all other classes in most of the content, or it deals well with all other classes and all types of content. Let's say, look at Awakening Sage. All of us here play it, funnily enough. We made it since the beginning. It's really strong in grinding, one of the best grinding classes. In Orzekea, it is really strong. Diego showed us, the god himself, that it is insanely good in Orzekea.
Also without Nodwar buff, by the way.
Yeah, PvP 1v1's really strong, has only weak matchups to classes that are considered the gods of 1v1. Small scale, insanely strong. Large scale, insanely strong. Like, that's the core issue. It does everything insanely well. But now, what I talked with Zephian briefly, another Awakening Sageman that has been playing it through the bad and good. Let's not nerf the class so it goes. Awakening Sage's weakest moment was a reboot, if people remember that, when they changed all of the classes. Awakening Sage was unplayable then. You could not play the class. You had no stamina.
2 full years or full darkness, man.
Yeah, you had no stamina, you had no damage, you were fully SA class. In a meta where the damage went into insane mode. Awakening Musa killed you standing without an issue. So you don't want that to happen, but looking what he is doing with classes, that is exactly what happens. Awakening Drakanya being the reason. Now Nova being hit as well. Awakening Drak went from a god tier class to nobody plays it, except certain people like you, Kwendia, because they
Yeah.
like the class's design, but the class is, let's say it, is bad. Right now it's completely bad. And I
There's
don't want
nothing.
that to happen. Yeah, exactly. I don't want that to happen to top meta classes. I don't want that to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the class balance talks. It's a really
Yeah.
long topic that we can keep
Yeah.
going for over and over.
The last thing I want to say about hardcore server is I would like to sure, like standardize the gear, but make it, if you want to take it the information to like balance classes, make it more similar, like with add-ons and attack speeds and all that, to what the actual game mode looks like, right? So that way it's more precise, because classes feel way different on hardcore server. That's also what these players told me. So maybe if you try to get balanced information from there, actually make it a little bit closer to what the actual game mode is.
Yeah. Any last words? Because we
Okay.
have to go.
Yeah, let's do final round of thoughts for this podcast. I can start by saying my usual thank you for everyone, for Specs that had to go. You, Nitty, you gave us a lot of insight. You have a lot to talk about. So again, same as Archive, you guys have always the door open. You guys know that
Gladly.
on the server I post the day, the topics that we're gonna be talking about. I tag everyone, so if anyone has to say, you can jump in, come by, say something, and just vent it out. Let it all go. And this is also an invitation for not only EU, MENA, all around the world. If you are a player that have a masterful opinion and you are able to come, just drop me a message and we can make it work. It doesn't need to be focused on PvP. We've talked about PvE too. Maybe there's some plans for the future to like try to get some life skillers to see how the life skills and environment is developing with all this quality of life and all these up and downs in training, alchemy, fishing, bar train, all this. Surely we will go into those too. So yeah, just drop me a message. And again, for you also, thank you for allowing us this space, and thank you for all the guests that come today.
Yeah. Any words, guys? Archive.
Thanks for hosting. That's like the biggest thing. It's good to see a podcast that is open to people, and I would want to see the point of view of other servers on all content related. Like I mean, P is kind of similar for everything, but having a PvE point of view and a lifestyle point of view would be really good to have. And since I know from playing a bit on other servers, the PvP meta on NA is slightly different than we have on EU. They play a bit of a different classes, and I don't know about MENA. I haven't followed the region enough, but it would be nice to see point of view from I know we have quite different MENA, but from NA especially, seeing a point of view from there to see what other ways of PvP in the game, pretty much.
How everyone is understanding and approaching
Exactly.
the game. It will be done. Like we will try to get guests from everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Archive.
Yeah, it's like I appreciate that we got to talk about certain things. I hope PA takes from it, especially on the hardcore server. The OPP and stuff like that is going to be harder to fix. It's going to take a while.
Region, right?
What?
Let's hope for the new region. They promised.
Yeah, I
us
have
some sort
I
of
have high
system.
hopes for that. Well, from what they described, it's kind of a finicky system. So I expect things to be wonky at the start.
Broken at the start, yeah.
Yeah, but the concept of the baseline seems good. So I expect that to be at least a decent window into somewhat of a future for open world PvP. But that's some PA to get right, and if it doesn't look too bright at the start, I hope PA is open to feedback to fix it.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Neri, Specs was there, he had to leave, and Hygaa, Archive, thank you so much. Like I said, in a few weeks, in the first weeks of the June, I will start to gather the feedbacks from all around the world. If you have anything that would like to see that PA adds, anything basic, that reasonable, logical, please send them to me. Whenever I just did the announcement, do not hesitate to join my Discord. And yeah, I gotta go. We gotta go. Thank you so much for being here. You know what we say? Do not forget, video is just a game, and don't play Awakened Dracania.
Play Awakening Sage. It's really strong.
Awakening Sage, man.
Yeah.